Normally we don't announce when we're starting, so I feel like we can't.
See,
we can't know what's happening.
We announce when we're starting on the podcast that I do every week, Jumping the Shark. And kind of the running gag is whoever, is announcing just kind of waits. Because the minute they start talking, one of us is going to jump in blah, 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 or start laughing or coughing and screw it up. So we usually have several outtakes.
Yeah, we don't... I generally don't cut anything unless it's weird. I think one time when you and me were on the podcast, we had a storm outside.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think we cut anything out of that. We just dealt with the storm.
Yeah, it was crazy. There's thunder and lightning that you can't see because it's radio. And
yeah, it was weird. It was like things were falling around all around us.
And we usually don't get storms like that.
Yeah, that's what we were saying.
Yeah, it was horrible.
We were like sirens in the distance. Those were the days. Hey, we're doing a podcast. It's a video game break one. And I'm Carlos, and my last name is Rodella. And this is I'm the unofficial co-host, Kinsey Burke.
Hi, I'm Kinsey, and I'm here again, and I am drinking some wonderful beer with some wonderful people.
Yeah, we all have weird beers. Let's go around the room, round robin. First, Holly Green's with us.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you for being on. We've been trying to make it happen a bunch of times, and now our schedules collide.
Collide?
Yeah. It's collide and aligned.
Sounds like a fun little crash.
Yeah, crash into me, Dave Matthews Band. Anyways, so I have what's called Saxo, Saxo, and I got it mainly because, well, A, it's a Belgian beer, which I love, and B, there's a weird little guy, which you'll see pictures in the podcast page, and he's got a acorn for a backpack, and he's holding a saxophone.
I think he's a snail.
Oh, right, he's a snail, and he's holding a saxophone. But then there's a side character, and it's just really cool. It tastes okay, but I spilt it earlier. So, what do you have, Kinsey?
I'm drinking my Bloody Valentine Ale by AleSmith Brewing Company, and it conveniently has 6.66% alcohol by volume.
Now, do you think it really does?
That's pretty difficult to do.
I know, right? The science behind that.
We were kind of debating that in the beer aisle. Did they get a batch of 6.67 and I'll throw it out?
Yeah, the whole thing is gone. Yeah, I don't know. That's suspect. But how do you like it? Was it tasty?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It tastes kind of just like I don't know. It's a red ale with hint of blood.
It did taste a little bloody to me when I snuck a little sip.
I don't know if I want that in my beer, but all right. Holly, what are you drinking?
Okay, so this is... I'm not familiar with this brewery, actually. This is Black Market Brewing Company, which is ominous. And
Black Market.
This one's referred to as Seek and Destroy. This is among the strongest beers I've ever had. This is a 12.7. I think the strongest previously that I'd had was probably an 11.4. So that's interesting.
Jeez.
I probably shouldn't have guzzled half of this already.
Yeah, you're I realize most of it's gone.
Yeah.
You're in good company for a 12-point whatever beer.
Oh, man. And then it's a smoked quadruple India Pale Ale. And it is smoky.
I don't know if I do like the smoky in my beers.
I like it sometimes.
Yeah?
I'm wondering if it's a little smoky to kind of cover a little bit of the taste because it's so strong. But it's not, it's not bad. As I was saying earlier, I don't like how flat stouts are. And this one's a little kind of along the lines of a smoky stout in flavor. So, it'll get you drunk, so.
The end result is it gets you wasted. Yeah, we definitely need to do a beer cast. Like you guys did at Seattle Retro.
That was fun.
Yeah. So, we'll do that soon. This is the only time I'm going to pause because you did that a couple times. Be careful. And also, I'm going to move this closer because you're so crazy quiet. Just move into the mic a little bit. This is my only edit. Sorry. Yeah, just stay around this area.
Okay.
It'd be good.
And I'll sit on my hands.
Yeah. It's easy to do, but then these microphones are crazy. So, okay, we're back into it in 2 seconds. All right, so what is everybody playing? I have a million things, so I'm going to let one of you guys go first. Video games.
Guess first?
Guess first.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
How polite. Kinsey, thanks.
I was going to say ladies first, and then I was like, I'm a lady.
I'm a lady.
Neither of us are ladies, Kinsey.
That phrase isn't going to work right now.
Honestly, this is kind of fun because Kinsey and I get to do a podcast now. We're friends in real life and hang out all the time, and I've never worked with her professionally, so that's kind of... there's nothing professional about this.
Yeah,
I was like, and we are so professional.
We try to keep things a little unprofessional, all right?
Kinsey and I get a little rowdy when we get drunk and yell at dogs.
Hey, those were not yelling. Those were barks of joy.
Yeah.
And we were like calling them from the angels, and everybody loved us, including the dogs.
Is that your version of how it went? Your maybe inebriated version? Just saying. So what are you playing, Holly? What video games do you
I'm playing
play?
Hotline Miami 2 right now.
Oh, Snip
Nice.
App. Yeah, that came out.
Didn't it come out yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. PlayStation 4, I just saw it and I was about to download it.
Yeah. So that's relatively new. I was in the kind of their second wave of review codes that they released, but yeah, it's a little buggy. Which is, a little
buggy for a game like that seems weird because
there's not a lot to it, right?
Yeah.
And there's a bug right now where enemies are just like spinning in circles forever, and I thought it was one of those things. I don't know. I didn't expect other people to be experiencing it, but apparently there's GIFs and everything of like this dog spinning action. And I was like, wow.
All right.
I guess it's kind of...
If there's a GIF, then it's a thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. That was exactly my thinking.
Yeah.
So this has been kind of a widespread problem. The thing about a game this hard is that, I'm kind of internally debating if I'm even going to be able to finish it before I start actually reviewing it.
Yeah.
The first game, I did not get that far, but I think my brain was kind of a different place because I didn't play it when everyone else was playing it, and I was really overly cautious. I think that's something, female gamers do maybe a little bit more, like we're really resourceful and we're very cautious, and that kind of doesn't serve you well in a game like Hotline Miami 2.
Yeah, you just go for it. It's
right.
Like,
so now that I am going for it,
Yeah.
and I'm just like diving in and not really caring, if I'm failing over and over again. Now I'm really good at it. I'm like, I feel like I'm, going through it at a really good pace. But
yeah, that first game I played and got stuck at this. There was a point where was it cops or somebody came in with like laser pointers, and like literally, if you didn't do the right way to get through a room, because the laser pointers were coming through the windows, and if you didn't do it right, just dead.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of times in that game where you're just dead all of a sudden.
Every time Kinsey plays it.
Nice. Or a lot of people, but yeah. But I mean, this one was more like, here's how you have to play this area, instead of like, it's random, it's madness, kill or be killed. But this one was like, no, you have to do these 4 things or you're fucking dead. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, well, I'm going to put it down.
See, now everyone brings in kind of like the random chaos factor, like, oh, you just go in and, free for all, and if you're lucky, you get through it. And I don't know, I watch the AI really carefully, and I have a plan, and I go with it, and I execute it pretty much the same time every time until it works.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
I just keep on trying at it. So for me, there's a little bit more skill involved. Like, I plan it out better, whereas something like Binding of Isaac, like that I feel is really more luck-based than anything. Like, if I get a couple of levels, it feels like if I progress a couple of levels in that game, it's going to be more because of luck than skill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whereas with Hotline Miami, I don't quite feel that way. So.
No, I think it's just the appearance of chaos.
You
go into the room and you're like, oh, anything could happen, blood's everywhere. But no, it's like, you got to take out that one big dude first. Go get that one weapon that works for this area. So, yeah, totally. But, I just stopped when it got too hard, unfortunately. But that was pretty far in. Oh, someone's phone. You're off the podcast.
I don't think it was me.
Okay.
Mine's on airplane mode.
Wasn't me.
Carlos?
No, normally it is. Normally it is. It's okay. The show must go on. But yeah, I think that game is fun, and it's ridiculous how violent it is. So what do you think of the second one? Should people check it out if they like the first one?
I have a hard time recommending things that are a bit buggy. I always feel really skeezy about that. I think it's just... Like, if you wanted more Hotline Miami, then you got more Hotline Miami.
Yeah.
There's more of a narrative established this time around, but I don't know how much it's really bringing to the game. I mean, it's not like, oh, I really needed this. I needed this story around Hotline Miami, whatever.
Well, because it was such an not interesting, but just at least a weirdo kind of narrative for the first one, with the masks and who are you and what does this really mean, and we won't spoil anything, but it had that kind of creepy element to it. And does the second one keep that?
It definitely does.
Yeah.
And I think it pushes it further as well. it's really hard for me to get invested, though. So everything just feels kind of like a bad dream you had once.
The game does?
Yeah, in that sense. Just narratively.
Yeah.
Because you never really know entirely what's going on, and they jump around a lot. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's not a good one either. So,
but what about the violence? Like, I think it's ridiculous, but is it past, like, does it at some point just become, like, comical, or?
I don't know. The thing about violence in video games, the first game kind of ended with this kind of preachy, like, oh, do you like to hurt people and you like violence and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's not that I like violence and hurting people. It's that I like skill-based challenges, and these have always been framed in an incredibly violent context. Mm-hmm. And this is what you've kind of made me do, where, I enjoy the challenge of shooters and games like this because there's challenge involved. But is it because I like to see people harmed? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I kind of I'm resentful of the judgment about that, just because I think the vast majority of gamers are not violent people and don't want to hurt people. And the minute that that's actually involved at all, that's where they're no longer having fun. Mm-hmm. So I look at Hotline Miami, and I don't feel particularly disturbed. There are some sexual thematic elements throughout it that I've not played enough of the game yet to really analyze it on any level in terms of social impact. So I'm just not even really examining that yet until I get the greater picture. It's like I want to finish the game and kind of think about this for a while before I really decide how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So far it's a good play. I mean, it's just more of Hotline Miami. There's the bug issue. So.
Yeah, the spinning dogs. Though, I would play something for spinning dogs. To see spinning dogs.
So when an enemy is in this kind of like stuck kind of phase, mm-hmm. like when they're spinning, can you still kill them?
You can still kill them at least.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and they do seem to be a little more. I would say their defenses are down a little bit because of the spinning.
Mine might be too if I was spinning around.
I like to write a backstory about it. Like, he's just having fun. Like, he's bored.
Yeah, he's wasted. He just drank a bunch of beer and said, "Fuck this mission." By the way, I think a lot of NPCs would kind of get that way. They'd be like, fuck this shit.
Oh, totally.
Like, all my friends are dying, I'm just going to get wasted.
And plus, how much of that time would you be just bored pacing around in a room or in a bathroom, as it were, in Hotline Miami? And
yeah.
You'd be getting drunk or something. Like, I don't know, carving graffiti into the walls. You probably wouldn't be paying attention very well. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they're
probably
just waiting around to get, knocked off.
Yeah.
Well, if you like Hotline Miami, it sounds like more of the same. So
yeah, and it's still got that really kind of campy 80s horror kind of thing going on, and it achieves that kind of vintage feel really well. And as far as a campy piece of entertainment, they pull it off really well. And,
and it's cheap, right? It's like $15 or something. Yeah. All right.
I haven't tried the. Gosh, is the level editor out yet? I can't remember.
Not on PlayStation, but I don't know if it is.
Yeah, because I think it's only for the PC version. I actually went and saw that at E3 this past year, and pretty standard as far as level editors go. And I really don't know if I'll participate in that at all because there's supposed to be kind of some community kind of around that.
I always love level editors, but then never really use them because they're so massive and so daunting.
Exactly. Right? Like, I don't have enough time for this.
Yeah, it's like making a game, which is great, and that you have the opportunity to do that, but I'm like, I'm doing 8,000 things.
Yeah, every time, especially, Little Big Planet, for example, I was like, I'm going to make this great level, and I made this, terrible slide out of ice and glass, and, it took me forever just to be able to get my little car to go down it.
Yeah.
And then, people are building castles. And I'm like, so this is my hill.
Yeah.
And then I turn, the gravity on in case of Little Big Planet, and all my shit falls down. And I'm like, God damn it. Damn you, rivets.
Well, what's funny is that this actually was the reason I was going to buy, and I probably will, maybe next paycheck, or the one after, Xbox One, because I don't have one yet, is because of that Project Spark.
Yeah.
Because that game creation toolkit seems like... it just out the box, you can make something that's fun really quickly. Because the world's there, physics are there, the action platforming stuff is there. So, take Little Big Planet and, multiply it.
I think there's only one game that I got into the level editor on, and that was Battle Block Theater.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only one.
That's a good one.
That's super simple to do.
If you're going to do it, though, Battle Block Theater is a great game to pick. So, that's a good choice.
I don't like level editors at all. I don't like making my own level because I'm not creative enough.
Yeah.
But damn, BattleBlock Theater, that was awesome. I'm
I
like,
can imagine. I did an interview with their level designer, who I just love him. I just love him so much because there was something that was so perfect about the way that BattleBlock Theater was built in terms of what it was supposed to accomplish. This essentially like a puzzle dasher.
Yeah.
And just this very high speed, and I always loved that. So that's a good one. If you're going to do level editing, like that's a good thing to choose. I was always really overwhelmed by the one for Disney Infinity. Like
Whoa,
people,
I don't know that was happened.
Oh yeah,
Really?
Yeah, Disney Infinity has always had a level editor, and it's
Oh,
improved.
that's right. That's
it's
right.
improved over the years because it's one of those things. Like this is the most daunting piece of equipment I've ever seen. This is in terms of user friendliness. This is a game for kids. Like adults aren't going to be.
Yeah.
There are people creating games within
Yeah.
Disney Infinity using the Disney Infinity level editor tools, which is just. All right, you guys are doing your own thing over there. I'm out.
that's beyond me.
Yeah.
Well, and it reminds me of Minecraft. When we had Evie Powell on, and started talking
yeah,
about that, like
yeah.
people, how much time they spend in that. Again, younger people who have not job, and can have time for that. So that's fine for them.
I didn't like Minecraft either. Just, you know what? I want someone to build a game for me. That's what I want.
Exactly.
Which is like what happens most of the time. But I don't want to build a game.
Speaking of which, real quick tangent. John Riggs, who is a friend of the show,
Yeah.
Also, has he ever been on? He hasn't because
No.
he's on Yakima.
Yeah.
John, get on the show. Get over here.
And
Anyways.
he listens too, so we can just like talk about him like he's
Hey,
not
John.
here.
What's up,
Like-
John? So he just, I saw a link that he just did a hack of a Nintendo game for Metal Jesus.
Yeah.
I want a fucking hack video game break. Come on.
That would be awesome. I already asked him a while ago if he could make a Kinsey game.
Well, we're asking him now. Can you put Kinsey and Carl's in a video game break game?
Kinsey's games first.
No, wait. This could be both of ours. You could do either two separate games, John, or now we're talking to a person on a podcast. Anyways, you should check it out. I'll put the link in the show notes. It's so cool.
It's really awesome. He does a really good job with stuff like that. And he's
Yeah.
like learning more and more all the time. Because
Yeah.
I also follow him on like Twitter and Instagram and everything. And he posts a lot of his like kind of like progress in learning how to do these hacked games. Because it started with just repros and now it's like hacking the game and now it's changing the colors of the game. Like,
Yeah.
It's pretty
he's
awesome.
doing Nintendo hacks. It's really fun. So, so check it out. I'll put the link in the show notes. Kinsey, what are you playing on the video games?
well, I haven't been on the show for a while, so I
know.
played quite a bit. But I think one of the biggest things is, Majora's Mask 3D came out, and so I started playing it on the 64 because when I was younger, like when I pre-ordered Majora's Mask, I didn't like it, and mainly because I was such like a stick at my butt that like Ocarina of Time is the best thing ever. So I get it. 12-year-old Kinsey was dumb. Let's just say that.
Let's just talk to her. Kinsey, listen. little Kinsey, listen.
But I'm playing it again, and I didn't want to play it for the first time on the DS. I'd rather play it like the way it was originally made.
I think that's for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
So
doing that.
you bought something that's useless to you.
Well,
basically.
I did buy the 3D one. I bought
Right.
it for the statue.
Okay, that's the reason. Yeah.
That's actually not a bad reason.
No, it
It's a cool
isn't.
statue.
And then you'll have it for later.
I was conflicted about, the 3DS version of it just because, Majora's Mask has always been my favorite Legend of Zelda game, and I've always been a huge fan. And, part of that was that it was just kind of so creepy and visually striking. And so for any of those games in that era to be brought to the 3DS and be given this new aesthetic, to me, that's a really good pick. Majora's Mask was beautiful. However, I don't want to play it on a little screen.
Yeah.
So,
I kind of feel the same way.
yeah. So I bought it on the Wii several years ago through their digital shop or whatever. And so I could play it like that. I'm thinking about doing another run through right now. And then I also have the GameCube disc still that has it. It was a special edition disc to have that. But either way, I have to make sure my Wii is set up.
You're what?
Because nobody's is. but-
Yeah. I don't know what that is.
It's getting to this point where, like, all my new consoles go in the living room, and then all my old ones go into the bedroom.
Yep.
So I've got the Wii and the PS3 and, like, the original Xbox in my bedroom. And then it's all hacked, so it's got, like, all the shit on it. So
Nice. I do like me some shit.
right.
And scene. There's nowhere to go from there.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
We'll end it there.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. So you're playing. So you bought something that you're not playing,
Yeah.
and you're playing an old game.
I'm looking at it an awful lot.
Yeah, and then You were mentioning before the podcast started you're playing Bayonetta finally.
Yes, I got it on the Wii U, so I have the first and second one, but I haven't played the first one yet, so obviously I guess I should start with that one.
Yeah. But you don't care for it. You don't care for those types of games.
I don't really like hack and slash games. Like I don't really like God of War and like games like that. This one, it's kind of holding my attention because of it's so fucking ridiculous. And part of me is like, oh, well, she's like all booby and sexy, but she also like fucking owns all of it. And like no one in the game is like rude to her or like none of them objectify her at all.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh no, she's actually kind of a really awesome badass who's equal, if not higher than the men in that game.
Yeah, and we talked about in the show before where she's almost like an alien. You know, it's almost like she's not just like, here, I'm woman, hear me roar. She's like unusually weird. Like
Otherworldly.
Otherworldly. Yeah, I don't think of her, like her hair does weird things. Her
Yeah.
legs are not, it's not proportionate. It's like weird.
Honestly, as a character, she's fine. It seems more that the problems arise are when she's judged out of context and when some of the people affiliated with her creation contextualize her. Like I see more.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, like I see more problematic elements coming from the people who like created her than actually who she is in the game, and that's really interesting to me.
That's strange.
Oh yeah, the people who created her. There's some stuff I've looked over, and it's been like, you's a creep.
Oh my gosh.
And you got to remember, I remember there was at least one animation for her in battle where she's brutalized and stripped naked in this very kind of humiliating.
Oh, really?
very, like, yeah. And so that I was kind of. Okay,
I haven't gotten there yet.
I don't know about that
I think
part.
it's in the second one, and I've seen a gif of it.
Oh, okay.
And it was kind of like, okay, you're pushing it with me with this like celebration of sexual freedom stuff, you know. But the thing about the character is that, you know, she can be contextualized so differently for so many people, but overall, overwhelmingly, she seems to be embraced by almost everybody.
Yeah, and since I'm playing it on the Wii U, I got all the outfits.
Heck yes, you
right.
did.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
she's kind of going through. I started as Link,
Link, I was
but
gonna say,
Link
yeah.
looks real weird. Like it's
I've
mainly,
seen it,
It's mainly
yeah.
the hat that looks weird, and I'm
It
like,
does
I
look
can't
weird.
do this.
It's just like,
do
I can't
this.
reconcile it with the glasses.
Yeah, and so I'm Daisy
Oh, yeah.
because I like the orange.
That's so cute.
And so anytime it like anything starts to get remotely serious, air quotes, because it's Bayonetta.
She's in that outfit. And,
Yeah.
I didn't happen with me with Dead Rising 3. I put Nick in one of those like Borat one piece swimsuits, and then I put like a shark on his head, like a shark, like, and my headphones. Yeah, I put like the shark head thing on him, and like I put him in rubber boots, and so
Hilarious.
like these really intense, dramatic scenes are going on, and he's just standing there. Like at one point, his butt cheeks are right like center in the middle of the camera. Like you're seeing like his junk, and it's just like it made the game better. Honestly, that wasn't that great of a game. I was like, I wish I'd have found this thing sooner.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I like it.
Bayonetta, it's crazy.
That shit's crazy.
That's just cray-cray. Come on, we got to appeal to the younger audience. Kids, you say that, right? Now I'm talking to the audience, or I'm talking to the kids. Anywho.
Don't talk to kids, Carlos.
YOLO.
I know. I'm getting to that, approaching that age where, like, I'm not supposed to. He's the older guy who's talking to kids. Anyways, no, the kids listen to this show. Hi, kids.
They probably shouldn't.
I know. I was like,
Where
I
are
don't
your
think so.
parents?
I know, right?
Hey, this show is for 18 and up.
Good.
Well, I think I mark it to 16 and up. But anyways. So, hey, let's talk about something I'm playing, if you want. Or what else are you playing? Is that it? No, you're playing tons of stuff.
I'm playing more, but
Anything on PlayStation 4?
nope. I'm playing some stuff on the DS because I just was traveling, so but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was playing on the
Oh,
DS.
you were at PAX.
Yes, I was at PAX.
Let's talk about that for a second.
I
Did you
went
see
to
anything that was interesting there?
I went to PAX East. I worked the entire time. I saw like 5 other booths. Most of them are owned by Devolver, and
That sounds about right.
yeah, it was a good time. I drank a lot of beer afterwards.
So you said nothing and just
You?
worked.
Kinsey?
Kinsey
I know.
drank beer?
What?
I know I was completely out of my element. I didn't know what to do, you guys.
So you worked and didn't see anything on the floor at all?
I mean, I walked past things.
Yeah.
On the way to the bathroom, because I went there multiple times, there was like, that was where like the retro gaming shops had their booths. And the whole time I was like walking to the bathroom, but also like, well, hello,
Shopping.
shelves.
Yeah.
But like, one thing I saw, and tell me if this is like way out of line, but I saw the Pikachu Edition 64 at a shop that will be I won't name them. Kinsey, talk.
Rename. No, now I fucked it up.
Shall remain nameless.
That's what we're saying.
That's what I was going
Guys,
for.
I'm the drunkest one. How's this
I don't
happening?
know.
But it was $600.
600.
It was in the box, and maybe if it was sealed, but still.
Yeah,
I mean, I know that
I
I've been
swear I saw that for cheaper at the Seattle Retro Gaming Expo from
I'm
one
sure
of
you
our
did.
local shops.
like
Yeah.
600 is insane, and then
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think I should look at that store.
Bleh.
That's what it shall be renamed nameless, which I can't say. What was it? Shall rename nameless.
Remain.
Shall remain nameless.
Oh my gosh, you guys. But yeah, so I got that for like $60 like 8 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Best purchase of my life.
So you're like, look at that. Look at those losers selling it for too much. Anyways.
But then part of me is like $600.
Oh, right.
But I love that system, and the one I have even has the watch because it came with a watch.
That is so cool.
So maybe I shouldn't sell it, but it's $600.
So no pack stuff, though. That's crazy. You were there so long.
No, that's the way it goes, though, when you're working those booths.
Yeah.
That is not an uncommon tale.
Yeah.
Everyone always gets asked, oh, what did you all go see? What was on my schedule and what was around the booth? And that's basically the answer
that was
I get.
that was PAX Prime for me because I was working it for Big Fish and you were there and we didn't even see each other at all. Kinsey was there too. I get it. I just usually try to like take, like you say, like long bathroom breaks and be like, or just say like, I'm doing something for a minute. But, yeah, well, it seemed like when I hear the reports coming out of it, more of the same. It's weird, and we don't really go into a big discussion about it, but because there's so many PAXs, and because there's so many shows in general, and little, indiecades and things popping up everywhere, it's just like, there's so many places for developers to show their stuff, and almost too many at times, so then they just, people were literally supposed to be at PAX, and didn't show because they were GDC.
Yeah.
Like, they literally had booths that
And-
didn't have people in them.
And now is South by Southwest Gaming. Like,
Yeah.
this is insane. Like, I'm kind of glad I was freelance and not like GDC, PAX East, South by Southwest. Like,
Yeah.
that's too much. Like,
When-
I was about dead on Sunday afternoon, and I got to leave the show floor early to go catch my flight. So, like, and my voice hasn't even recovered yet from PAX East. It keeps cracking.
Did you say PAX East?
PAX East.
Your brain hasn't
PAX
recovered.
No, it has not.
No, but that's true because when I worked at IDG, PC World, Mac World, and Tech Hive, we had the calendar lined up, and it was like, oh, South by Southwest, oh, Mobile World Congress, oh, CES, and then when they just back up like that, it's like not just the developers, but just the coverage of it. Like, how are you supposed to take care of all this? Yeah. So, anywho, well, I'm playing lots of things, but I'll say one thing is the Pokemon Shuffle I gave a try.
Cool, Carlos. Tell me more.
Thanks, you sounded so interested.
That did not sound canned and uninterested at all.
I actually like it. It's a
I do
change
like
of pace.
I do like Pokemon.
Well, I'm kind of over Pokemon.
Well, okay. When I say I like Pokemon, let me get one thing clear. There should be 151 Pokemon because I spent my entire childhood memorizing these stupid fucking Pokemon, and now there's like a bajillion.
Right.
Anyways, okay, so you're playing.
No, I mainly played it because it's a free-to-play game for 3DS, which is weird, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many match-3 games and so many matchy type games for mobile, so many free ones. So I just gave it a try. The biggest problem is this. It's Pokemon. You catch Pokemon. Those Pokemon fight other Pokemon that you're trying to catch. It's Pokemon, but with match 3. It's weird when you use the stylus and you have to line up. You literally pick, the different little heads of Pokemon or the things you match. And you're picking up the Pokemon and matching them. Usually match 3 games are, you just match whatever's around those, little gummies or icons or whatever. But this one, you pick up the thing and move it with your stylus. That seems weird to me. It doesn't feel natural. Like, I'm like, oh, I know what I can do. It's just that one's next to that one and I'll switch it. But when you actually can pick it up, it gives you more choice. But then I felt like kind of a fish out of water. I'm like, I guess... which one do I pick? It gave me so much choice. Anyways, besides that.
You can pick up a piece and move it?
Yeah.
That sounds a little easy.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I was feeling. I was like, oh, I guess I'll do this for a while, even though I could do any move ever.
That's weird, yeah. Because
Pokemon is for kids.
kids.
Carlos
That's the answer.
Carlos is joking.
I know. Well, I'm still sick, but yeah. That started it. Well, here's the weird thing about it. Okay, this is my only review, and then there's a couple games I actually like that I'm playing. But I just wanted to play it for the podcast. It's interesting. It's way too easy, I guess, is really what it comes down to. And then on top of that, it's easy, but then they give you lives or whatever, hearts, and every battle you do uses one. So then there comes the free-to-play model.
Oh, you have to buy more hearts?
To buy more hearts, or you can wait for them. And that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Like in other games, it makes sense. It works. Like if you don't, you don't have to do it. You know, you can do other things while you're doing it, waiting for that stuff to replenish. But this is how you play the next battle. You've got to have this thing. So, and on top of that, I'm over Pokemon. And on top of that, not a fan. So
The only Pokemon games I play are the ones that aren't actually Pokemon games, like Pokemon Snap.
Oh my god, I love Pokemon Snap.
How have they not brought back Pokemon Snap?
I want an HD Pokemon Snap.
Exactly. On Wii U, it's freaking perfect.
It's exactly perfect because there's like the Wario and Game and Wario, who you're like looking for someone like in an apartment complex, and like your like gamepad is kind of like the binoculars.
Yeah, see,
they
like, could do
around.
that. Yeah, they could use it like the camera.
Yeah,
that would be absolutely perfect.
there is a game I'm trying to look up real quick. There it is. I think it's Geisha Boy. And it's for TurboGrafx because we were doing a lot of TurboGrafx videos recently, PC Engine stuff. And he takes photographs. It was like 16-bit days. And, side-scrolling 2D. And he would go and take pictures in the environment. And that was how you progress in the game, like to take the best pictures of certain things.
that's kind of awesome.
I love that stuff.
And I wonder if Pokemon Snap just completely ripped that off, and like we're all like, "Yay, Pokemon Snap!" And they're like, "They weren't first."
Yeah, there's so many things that, like, you I think if you copy something and then do it really well, then that's fine. I mean, like, that's if it works,
Yeah, and it was in the 90s, and it was like Pokemon fever.
Yeah.
I was insane about Pokemon in the 90s.
For all of us not really over being over Pokemon, we're talking about Pokemon.
I know.
Like, I don't even like Pokemon.
I know.
I don't like
it's
Pokemon.
Stupid.
This episode, Pokemon episode.
I do have one really good Pokemon memory, though. That's almost embarrassing, but
Please,
it's really
let's talk
good.
about more Pokemon.
And it just reminded me, and it's a pretty good story.
Okay, go for it.
So one of my first boyfriends ever, I was in 7th grade, and he called me, and I was like, "Well, I'm watching Pokemon." And then he was like, "All right, I'll stay on the phone with you." But then he started talking, and I was like, "I don't think you understand. Like, I'm watching Pokemon, and how about you not say anything until the commercials?"
So he stayed on the phone and waited?
Yeah. But then it was funny because then when he did talk to me, he was like, I understand what he was trying to do. He's trying to be like, I like what you like, even though he didn't. He was like, I saw an episode of Pokemon once where he got like 2 of those pin things. And I'm like, he never gets 2 badges in one episode.
That's awesome. You were incorrect, sir.
What a fake gamer boy.
I know, right?
And what a weird introduction to dating. Kinsey's like, yeah, listen, I like you, but shut up for a minute.
That's kind of how, to this day, I would say. How many times has Tony heard that?
That might be true. So needless to say, I'm not dating this guy anymore.
Oh, the guy from your first date ever?
Yeah.
We're shocked.
Because I thought you might be.
By the way.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Oh, jeez. Moving on. We mentioned last episode, which was me and Dan, we talked about Hearthstone and a brand new card game that came out, Hand of Fate. It's very, very fun. It's like basically... Did you hear about this yet?
Mm-mm.
It is... Well, I'm going to tell about it again because if you listen to the podcast, you heard me last
I should
episode
probably
talking about
listen
it.
to my own podcast.
It's okay. You can go back after this. But I'm playing with that a lot. I'm not going to go into it because we did last episode. But it's a card game like Hearthstone. 1 player, though, right? So not multiplayer, which is up our alley, right?
Yeah.
And then the action that you do in the battles is in real time. It's action combat, RPG style.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I just imagined 3D playing cards with swords.
No, the cards lay down, that's an awesome version, though. That's the DLC.
You should have seen it. She was punching her arms out to the side.
Yeah. Visual gag. No, it's the card lays down, they do the animation, and then your hero pops out of it.
Oh, like Eye of Judgment style?
Right.
All
yeah.
right.
And then the combat's actually fun to play.
Oh,
so
nice.
I've been playing the crap out of that. Still recommend it. And also, we tried Helldivers.
Yeah?
So I'm not a multiplayer person, and Kinsey is generally not either. And we both have this whole, not phobia, but don't talk to me on the internet when I'm playing video games.
Yeah, what if I'm not good and then you watch me and then you laugh?
Well, that's your own thing.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's your own reason. Kinsey and I have 2 different reasons why we don't do multiplayer on video games. But Helldivers, I had my buddy Core sit down with me on the couch because it has internet and also couch co-op. And it's basically like a Destiny kind of sci-fi, almost like Starship Troopers. Mm-hmm. Kind of, you're on Super Earth.
Like Earth Defense Force, kind of?
No. More like the theme and feels like Starship Troopers.
Oh, okay.
Like over the top, go us, we'll destroy everybody kind of thing. And you're Space Marine type people, and I generally do not give a shit about that stuff. So you put that aside, but it feels like they're making fun of it. You know what I mean? It feels a little bit like they're joking with that. Because you're on Super Earth. I mean, that's
where I live.
we all live on Super Earth. Long story short, as a co-op game, it was the first time that I really had a great co-op experience where it's a difficult mission. You get dropped into a planet, extraction point style, you and your buddy. You have to reload a lot, so you have different weapons. You have to reload them a lot, which actually makes it more nerve-wracking instead of just a continual fire, kind of, double analog shooter. It's like, I've got to reload and plan stuff out. There's strategy because you can put the turret down and do a little more strategy elements like that. And you take out waves of enemy and capture bases, etc. But the thing is, there's something that I can't explain on why it was so visceral. We played the same mission I think 8 times, and every time we're like, well, we got the idea, let's just do it one more time, because we had to beat that mission. And it's just so fun how they mix the idea of strategy, helping your friends. When he's down, you go hit the button over top of him to revive him, but then you're reloading and he's got to heal you, and it just felt amazing.
What system is that on?
I played it on PS4. I think it's on Steam too. I'll check right quick.
There's a Steam too?
Steam 2.
Did I say Steam 2?
Breaking news, everybody.
Breaking news. Fuck Steam 1, Steam 2's the shit.
You said Steam also is what you meant.
Right, that's what I meant.
I was telling a dad joke.
Dad jokes. Video game break. Here it is, PS3, PS4, and Vita.
Sweet. I might have to check that out because I'm a really big fan of anything that's couch co-op. You know how many not great games I've played just because they're couch co-op?
Uh-huh.
I played, granted, not that these are bad games, but all of the Army of Two games, loved them.
Yeah.
They're over the top ridiculous shooters,
yeah.
but they're co-op and they're so fun for that reason. And the Lord of the Rings War of the North.
Yeah, I played that too.
I played that?
Yep.
Yeah.
I played that in an event. There was an event that was showing it once, and I was like, wow, this is fun multiplayer. Yeah, I think that this helps with that, but it's not a Diablo. You're not going together and just hitting all buttons. And I think that's what we were talking about. When we were playing it, we were like, oh man, we really got to figure this out.
Yeah.
We're not just not going to wave down enemies, And what's funny is that when you call in kind of reinforcements, there's a lot of these a turret will come down if you put in the right keypad, directional on your directional pad. It'll call different items in. So one of them's like a turret, and one of them's ammunition. But when they land, they can kill you because they're flying from the sky and they land in the ground real quick.
Oh,
so I literally killed Core a couple times by calling in reinforcements because he wasn't standing in the right place. And then also when you throw bombs, you've got to be careful because they can kill you too. It's friendly fire for your own weapons. So. Yeah, it's just so interesting how strategy and how visceral it feels. And I was surprised. Helldivers. Check it out.
Diving into hell.
There's no hell in the game.
Oh.
Just ruined all illusions.
I was hoping there'd be scuba gear for hell.
Aww. That sounds cute.
And also, not smart.
I'm going to go scuba diving in hell.
Yeah.
I think the fires of hell want oxygen, so I don't know. Strapping it to your back might not be the wisest thing.
You'll probably just explode,
Maybe.
Not too far down.
What if you just have anti-devil juice instead of oxygen in your tank?
Can I call this episode Anti-Devil Juice? Because that's
What
awesome.
is that exactly?
I don't know what
really
that
I
is.
want to know the chemical composition.
And
Let's explore that.
And it might not be the best idea to put that in your tank.
Is that what holy water is? Is that
I don't want to
anti-devil
breathe
juice?
holy water, though.
Well,
why were you breathing it?
Because it's in your tank instead of oxygen.
Why is it juice? You can't breathe juice. Kinsey, fun fact. You can't breathe juice. If you're doing that in your off time, please stop.
You're drowning, Kinsey.
You're drowning yourself. Wait,
in orange juice,
is that how
all things.
Is that how you get off? You're like, listen, I gotta have juice inhalation.
I'm gonna have a mixing bowl full of apple juice.
Ew. That's Kinsey's thing. She juices.
Oh my gosh.
But in a weird way. Anywho.
We're getting really personal.
Oh, we do that often. And also, Kinsey doesn't juice.
That you know of.
Hey. One more thing I'll say I'm playing that I tried to play was GTA Online did this big, huge update with heist and stuff. I don't care for again, to reiterate, the multiplayer stuff. In this one, in GTA Online, there's these big, huge heists, and you've got to meet up with 2 to 4 people, and I think the heists are only 4 people and up, and you do these big, huge missions. But what they said with the update was they had a lot more one-player stuff, too, like daily challenges and all this kind of, things you could just do by yourself. When I first played GTA Online, I just died a bunch of times because people were just assholes and griefed me, and I tried to shoot them, and then there was like a vendetta that never ended, and we're just killing each other over and over.
It's not fun.
That's not fun. So then this time I was like, well, maybe if they add more elements for me to just do by myself, that'd be cool. When I went into the game, there was nobody in the world.
Oh, good.
So
it's a great multiplayer
experience.
Yeah.
I think the servers were fucked up this weekend, or whenever they were like launching it. So that was a part of it. So I was essentially by myself unless I picked like a racing mission or like, whatever. And so what I really want, and I'm, they're not listening, but maybe they are. In general, what I want is I want like an Ultimate Online or World of Warcraft or something where I can do things by myself in a GTA world. So I am affected. Like I can make more money so that later on that affects the world in some way. Or I beat this mission, the first guy to beat this mission or whatever, like something that can affect everybody in this persistent MMO, but doesn't have to rely on like jumping into a game mode where 4 of us have added each other.
I'd rather walk into one on the street.
Or just do one by yourself.
Yeah.
Like MMOs, any good MMO I think lets you explore and have fun in the world, and then you get to do things with raids and stuff, What are your thoughts on that?
When it comes to multiplayer, I miss out on a lot because I can be antisocial about it. And I think that's something that comes more naturally to women just because every experience we have just blindly jumping into it becomes so intensely hostile right from the get-go that eventually you learn to just give up. So I'm actually writing about this subject right now for the upcoming book, Shooter. I don't know if you guys heard about that, but that's going to be a collection of essays about first-person shooters from a number of games critics. And this is a really exciting project. And I'm probably the only person who wrote kind of a narrative-style piece, but mine was about just... before 2009, 2010, I probably didn't play like hardly any shooters, and a lot of that was I was too intimidated by the multiplayer online community, and it was like, if you're not going to do that, then why even bother? Was kind of the spirit of it. Mm-hmm. And there were so many reasons to just feel so intimidated, just like I will never be good enough not to do this without completely embarrassing myself, and it was like I'm not emotionally prepared for like the hostility that comes from being a girl and from sucking at this.
Yeah.
So the essay kind of covers my journey through several different games as I became a really great FPS player. Just kind of, I started with Fallout 3, just kind of struggling in private.
God, I love Fallout.
Fallout 3 is amazing.
I mean, that might not be technically a first-person shooter. I mean, that's kind of debatable. But there were some skills learned there that I could learn in private that I kind of took on to some other things. And so as I progressed through that, and I went on to Fallout New Vegas, that was a game where you couldn't rely as much on VATS. And so there was more shooting from the hip. You were greater rewarded for not relying on the crutches. And so, I was forced into this position where I was learning more and more. I was learning how to aim. I was learning how to snipe. I was learning all these things. After that, I went through the original Borderlands. I went through the Fear series. Great shooter series. Great shooter series. And then eventually, I felt ultimately ready for Borderlands 2 when that was released. And I ended up being just really good at it. The culmination of the essay is such that I come to this conclusion that I kind of over-prepared. But a lot of that was just I was so intimidated by the community, and I just couldn't bear to struggle in front of everybody. That was something I had to do in private. And I came out better for it. I mean, I really felt like I had earned my stripes, so to speak, without having to endure all of the... I had said something in my piece about how there are a few areas where you're expected to have so much skill, but you're in the worst environment to ever learn any of it.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's so high stress and everyone is so abusive.
And PvP, I think, is really hard to get better at if that's all you do. At least for me.
Well, and also it's unbalanced. Anytime you jump into a world like that, there's somebody who's been playing a million years.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't even have a chance. So you can't even get better because you're already dead.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I was so aware of that already because I was a Diablo player. And that was I never dueled in Diablo. Never. Because of that very reason. It just didn't matter how good you were. There was someone who figured out something else. And so, was that me again?
Oh, you're going to get...
My phone keeps on buzzing. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm the rudest.
Airplane mode.
But yeah, that's the thing about me is that I've always been intimidated by failing in front of other people, and so I kind of seize up and then I fail more.
Story of my life.
Yeah. Oh. Now, the great thing about Borderlands 2 was that when I jumped into that, it was this is too chaotic. Everyone's too busy about worrying about their own shit to really be over-examining me. So I kind of took that opportunity to kind of be more the team leader and kind of guide everybody else. And I don't know, it was kind of nice jumping back in and seeing that I'd gained so much skill that that I could be the leader. I didn't have to worry about these things. But it's just so intimidating, and I don't play well with others sometimes. Well, that's the thing. Part of the reason why I don't stream is because it's really hard for me to game while I'm thinking about other people watching me.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I can't, if I want to stream Hotline Miami 2 right now, and it's at the same time, I need concentration, and if I know people are watching me and that they're expecting me to talk and all these other things, I'm not going to be able to do it.
It's a different mindset, and I've been doing a lot of hosting stuff for a long time, and I feel like if I'm going to do that, then I go into that mode, where okay, I know that the show mode, it's not like I'm playing and then I'm also doing, talking. But that a lot of people can't go into that mode. It's not natural for them, and it shouldn't be because you're playing video games.
Yeah, I don't think I could do I keep thinking about doing streaming, and especially because I kind of want to do a drunk stream and playing shitty video games.
We were supposed to. Yeah, we talked about it a while ago.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that, but at the same time, then I'm gonna be drunk and anxious because people are watching me play video games.
Not if it's here with us. We can do it.
Maybe.
Let's do this. Okay, I'm just coming up with this real quick. There's a game right over there that's staring us in the face.
Oh, I know. We have to play that.
What is that game?
Champions Return to Arms. The Champions of North. Yeah.
I paid top dollar for that game.
Oh. We have to play that. Speaking of that game, though, the other night, my boyfriend Tony was like, do you want to play this game? And it was Champions Return to Arms. And I was like, I can't play it. I promised Carlos I'd play it with him. And then he started playing it, and he goes, fine, I'll play it by myself.
No, you
and
can't
I was just
see it.
Oh, sour grapes.
No.
Sour grapes, Tony.
I went into the hallway, and I was like, I'm going to look at these games.
Now, this is just reason for us to do it. So here's what I'm proposing. So next week, fuck it, right?
I'm
next
moving.
week, you're moving. Okay.
Oh, I got a new place. I'm really excited. I'm going to have room for my games. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
But
we'll figure it out. But what I'm saying is we should drink.
Month.
We should drink and videotape it and record the audio, but we won't think about either of those things running. We'll just play video games.
Deal.
Okay, I'll make it happen.
Well, the thing about playing multiplayer online is that the game that actually did it for me that made me feel better about it was Destiny, actually, because Destiny has that central hub where all the people are. But you can also go off and do your own missions. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing co-op missions with my friends, and then eventually started doing PvP and things like that. And then trying to do the strikes and everything with a group of people. And it just evolved into this thing where I was like, you know what? Maybe I can play multiplayer online and have it be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it depends on the game.
The
way that I got into it was, and I haven't really been back as much because I haven't had experience like that, is Ultima Online. I bring up a lot because that was one of those games where I liked the source material already. I loved RPGs. I loved Ultima. And so I already liked the world, and they let me do what I love and explore it by myself and go into a dungeon and, fight all these monsters, but then also random meetups with people and do things. So I think it matters in the game and the, matching your personality and your style of gameplay. Because in general, the idea of just being skill-based good at shooting other people, that's not anything I'm ever going to be interested in. If there's some story or interesting things that will hook me into that world and make me want to be good at those shooting mechanics, then yeah. Like, so say it's a Fallout. If Fallout Online existed, which they have the rights to it, they haven't made it yet. Is it not Bethesda? Bethesda has the rights to it. Is that right?
Well, that was what the big battle was with Interplay. Was to shut down their online.
Right.
They were going to do an MMO version, and there was dispute over whether that had started before the the purchase and kind of the.
But who owns it now? Do we know? Is it Interplay still? Because I feel like Interplay still had it.
Bethesda shut down Interplay's MMO pretty hard, and then retained about 90% of the information from that game. And
Here's an article in Kotaku from last year. It says Interplay's Fallout MMO might have been nuked into oblivion by a lengthy legal battle.
Yeah, because I remember they had for a time they were starting to do promotion, and they were doing like these email things like on a weekly basis, and it'd be like this little bit of lore for the upcoming Fallout MMO. And I was watching it really carefully at the time because I had just become a Fallout fan, and yeah, Bethesda shut that down quick. Yeah, pretty hard.
But that's the kind of thing that will warrant me to be like, okay, maybe I'll do some multiplayer stuff because again, I like the world enough.
And then there's the Elder Scrolls Online.
Yes, exactly. Which I'm going to because it's on PlayStation 4 soon.
It makes far more sense with Elder Scrolls if you ask me. With Fallout MMO, no, that's a game I play to be alone, to be solitary.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I don't play that. I don't play it. Yeah, I don't play that to be a band of people. I don't play that to have someone by my side.
But
I play that to be alone.
And I'm with you because that's literally Fallout 4 is all I want in life, and the lights to be off and no one be near me.
Heck yes.
Yes.
Yep.
But that being said, a post-apocalyptic area does lead itself pretty well to a band of dudes or girls.
Well, granted, but that's everybody else. Those are
fighting.
All these assholes. Well, not all of them are assholes. Not all the factions are assholes. But I think that's kind of part of the point of the game, and they've kind of course-corrected back to that, with Fallout New Vegas, going back towards kind of more the faction-based stuff. And it's like, I kind of like that. Everybody else was a band, and they kind of had their shit together. It was like, you know what? I'm going to make my decisions about who I help based on how I internally feel about each decision on a principle.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just kind of, this is just a game I play to be alone, I guess.
Hey, I'm with you, though. I'm just saying I would, again,
it's not that it doesn't make sense completely, but thematically, I think it works better to be the lone wanderer.
Well, what we should all do is we should come back on the podcast when Elder Scrolls Online comes out for PlayStation 4 because I feel like
I was just about to say, what are you talking about?
Yeah. No.
I was like looking around like I played that 2 years ago.
That's the only way I really want to play it on my couch with my controller.
See, my problem with Elder Scrolls Online, which I played that at least at one E3. I can't remember if I got more than one chance to do so.
Yeah,
but
I was in the beta.
I mean, the whole Elder Scrolls thing for me is just as much about the aesthetics as it is about the lore and anything else. And you get thrust into Elder Scrolls Online, and two things happen. One, it doesn't look as good, of course. The polys and texture, it's abysmal. And then, because it's designed to be run through 1,000 times, you never really get a chance to get a grip on any of the lore you're supposed to absorb. So it's like my two main reasons for playing Elder Scrolls are completely absent.
Yeah.
So it was like, I can't even do this for the lore because I'm not going to play the same mission 15 freaking times. I'm an adult. I have better things to do. I have all these other games and a huge stack of shame. I ain't got time for you, Elder Scrolls Online. I ain't got time.
Yeah.
Yeah. My biggest thing was that and granted, this is the beta, and I haven't kept up on the news, so it's probably not real anymore. But I was playing it, and first of all, I was a Khajiit, and I made a house cat that was all calico, and she was adorable. But there was a small part of me that was like, wait, a Khajiit can also be a lion and a tiger now? And I'm like, no, they always had this really, really awesome, ethnic-y look about them. And Khajiit's my favorite race, so I was like, lion, whatever. But then when I got into the world, I couldn't steal.
What?
Because in Elder Scrolls, there's a bowl on this table. I can take it. Yeah. And I couldn't do that in the beta. And the same thing with when you kill someone, you should be able to take what's on their person, their armor, their everything.
Yeah.
If you can see that they're wearing armor, you can probably have that armor. But when I played the beta, it was they had 1 gold, and I was like, no, I want that armor. I'm still wearing rags. But
now I wonder if that was just because of the beta, or if that was something that was retained because of the sheer amount of data that was going into the game.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's interesting.
Well, I think in general, when
because Khajiits are supposed to steal shit. God damn it!
I know.
Not to be Skyrim racist or anything.
Well,
but no, Elder Scrolls
Skyrim is racist.
Elder. So Skyrim. Yeah, that's the thing. Is Skyrim, like that, all of that is based on, Norse mythology. I'm not even going to say the word mythology. I'm Norwegian. So
I am too.
So the whole thing, it's like, oh, this is based on my heritage, kind of. And I have
they're all
to.
fucking racist.
Well, that's just it. That's the thing about being Norwegian, though, is that like, a lot of our kinsmen are fucking racist. And so you're like always tiptoeing around each other, like, are you one of them? so I see it in Skyrim, and I'm like, okay, that's real, but I wanted to be proud of being a Nord, and I can't in this game. I can't be proud of it. So I play, I play as, oh dear, I can't remember their real name, and if I go according to the stereotypes that they were building on, I'm going to say something super offensive.
Yeah, let's not do that.
The one that's clearly based on Muslims.
Redguard?
Yes.
Redguard, that's right, yeah.
Thank you. I always play as Redguard.
Yeah. They're
always play as
actually
Redguard.
really awesome. They're from Hammerfell.
They are, and I like them. So that's how I always play as them. Always. Yep.
To bring it back, I would say that you're right in the fact that, you play a game for as long as you play Skyrim, and you know all the mechanics and how things work. Like you said, I'm going to steal all these things. I'm going to take all these things. And then you just take that away. Then it's difficult to swallow that because you're like, well, no, I'm supposed to be able to take that or move around. So I feel like they could have done that.
They probably, maybe they did.
Maybe they fixed it.
This is the beta. I mean, I played the beta.
They may have fixed it, yeah.
It was 2 years ago.
That's why we will wait and talk about this later. But I think we all should and go back into the world when it's this new Tamriel, what's it called? Tamriel Unlimited version.
Yeah, well, Tamriel's the name of the whole world.
Right, I know that. What, I don't know Skyrim?
I'm just saying. You had a little bit of trouble pronouncing
Maybe you
that.
don't. We don't know your life.
Yeah, you do, because I talk about it in the podcast every fucking week. Or you should by now. Skyrim is in my heart. It's crazy.
I had one of the most dedicated Skyrim blogs when it came out. I donated over 5,000 screenshots to the Elder Scrolls Wiki. I was one of the top editors there for a while. And then I ran a Tumblr blog that was called Like a Bird in the Skyrim. And while I was there, I must have documented. See, okay, so when it comes to Bethesda games, I'm really obsessed with unique weapons and armor and all that stuff and getting every last item and using it at the most strategic, perfect time in the game. So I was writing guides about all the Daedric artifacts and what order to get them in at what point in the game.
I love Daedrus.
Strategies about exactly how you should play this out step by step, over the course. I annihilated the game. And so I had entries about how to obtain every last special item you could ever. So I had, essentially, like encyclopedia entries for everything. And I exhausted myself doing this, but I was doing that and I was doing all this wiki work. I was very passionate about Skyrim. And that was leading up to right before I got hired at Destructoid. And that was consumed my time.
Yeah. We talked about this last episode, I think Dan and I, but what I realized, and I think Kinsey has a little bit of this, is when I look at a new game, because of Fallout 3 and Skyrim, I'm putting those in the foreground of this idea. When I try a new game, I'm kind of always basing it against that. I really, really want to play video games to get immersed and lost because my life is so crazy and I have so many things going on, and all of us have crazy things going on, I know, but I have a really weird life with lots of stuff, and I need that time to be lost. Dying Light recently, which we'll talk about in news later, love that game, and that did that for me. It literally made me feel like, oh, I'm in this place and I've got to do all these things, and it's kind of RPG and there's action. I just need that kind of feeling, and that's why Skyrim was so important to me, because it literally gave me that escape that
it's
I really
really
loved.
interesting you bring up Dying Light too, is because Skyrim and Dying Light for me also have been this game that I really needed for the escapism of it, because where I was in my life at the time. Mm-hmm. So I'm coming off a stint where I just played 3 AAA games and poured way more time than I should have ever done. I played Dead Rising 3, and then I went right into Far Cry 4, and then I'm on Dying Light. And in terms of, when you're a games critic and all the things that you learn to pick up after a time, there are many flaws for me to just pick out from all of these games. And I hated Dead Rising 3, if I'm honest. But and one of my partners, Patrick Lindsay, who was the co-writer for Depression Quest, and he's a critic as well. He teased me as I was playing all 3 of these games, because why are you playing these shitty ass games? And it was a little bit hurtful in the sense where it was like, I'm having a really hard time and I just need to be somewhere else. That's all I want right now. I just need to be somewhere else. And I've still been playing Dying Light. I beat Dying Light, and I never I don't really throw in a lot of effort into 100%ing a game anymore, but here I was still coming back to it, and it was just like, I'm really stressed out and I need to be somewhere else.
And they make it
completely
they make it easy to go back into it. I mean, like, I beat it too, and we can't spoil it, but that ending, fucking crazy how you had to get to the ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was the most challenging part of the game. I'll put it there. Yeah, and then
let's just say there's a parkour element or a platforming element of a first person game that's almost like not fun hard near the end, and I was like, yeah, fuck you, motherfucker.
That was the most I had died in the game. It was the biggest challenge, definitely. Yeah. You're very spot on to call it kind of a parkour platformer in that sense. And then what's really funny is, you go through all that climbing and you have this big, it's really hard. It's this big deal. And then you get to the top, and then your final boss battle is actually this button mashing quick time event that's like totally bogus. And the only reason it's hard is because you don't know what button's coming next. And that's the only skill involved to it.
I haven't talked about that yet, and that's not a spoiler, but that's important.
And then they end on this super ambiguous note that it's like, oh, well, you've left yourself open for a sequel. I guess that's good for you.
Yeah,
Well, it's interesting though. What I liked about I hated the QuickTime events, and it's not a spoiler. You should know that it's coming because it's kind of a letdown.
Who cares about spoiling that there's going to be a QuickTime event? That's more of a warning than anything.
Right? Yeah. We should tell them the button combo. Listen, you'll have a better time if you just know it's X, box, whatever. But no, but what's interesting
is... It's so weird how you call the square button.
I always call it box, don't I?
Box button.
I do all the time.
It's weird that you guys even refer to controller buttons. I'm a PC player. All of this is just like, oh, you people and your buttons.
I like my buttons.
I like my buttons. I like my box button.
I have keys.
I bet you do.
I know is that a thing, really? No, because I never knew if that was a thing. I think my cousin told me that once, long time ago, and I was like a young person. He was like, that's called a box. Are you talking about the... what are you talking about?
We're talking about...
I might be.
You are, though, right?
Boxes and buttons, and I don't know.
No, but that's what you're saying.
Boxes, buttons, and vaginas. That's what we do here at Video Game Break.
That's another title for the show. No, but I never heard that outside of like that time when I was a youngin', like until you just said that. Because
really?
I didn't think no one says that.
I've never really liked that term, but
yeah, but no one says it.
No one says it.
Okay.
The only time I ever hear it is when people say, "I'm going to punch you in your box." I'm like, why do people say that?
Wait, why do people say that?
I don't know. Maybe I angered a lot of people. But
apparently,
weird people too. To finish that off, Dying Light's amazing. We'll talk about the news. I really enjoyed, the escapism of that place. And I think that what happens is the end isn't really an end. Yet it's up for a sequel, but at the same time, the DLC and the stuff, we could just talk about right now, actually, before the news. It's interesting because they give you free shit after the game's over. And I was just talking with a coworker today about this, where the game's, $60 or whatever, and you have a great time with it, and it's over. And then normally this DLC thing is kind of a weird world. We're trying to figure it out. Like, what can we charge for? What's in the game already? What's unlockable, etc. What was great about Dying Light, and I think a lot of companies could take note for, and I think other companies have done, I finished the game. They give me a free thing after I finish the game. It came out, a month later or weeks later. Here's a new update. It's got all these new things in it. One's character class is different. Have you seen this? You can
haven't played it yet, no.
You can play an assassin, a ninja. Like, you can change the way you play the game. And all this kind of stuff that was for free. And it wasn't like, clothing or horse armor. It felt like it changed the game in a way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Then they gave me another pack and said, here's a $5 thing you could buy that's more missions.
Right.
I immediately bought the $5 thing because they gave me something for free first.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? So I think that's a cool combo.
That shit was deliberate.
Of course it was. But I think that works instead of like you go, here's the thing you have to pay for, and here's something you have to pay for after. Or the opposite, here's a free-to-play game, and here's a bunch of stuff you have to pay for. But this one was like, no, here, pay for the experience, and then when you're done, we're going to give you something for free first.
Now, if I remember right, this is the Techland's first experience with DLC, because I don't recall that Dead Island or Dead Island Riptide even had any of that stuff.
I feel like Riptide might have, but yeah, maybe not.
And I was one of the only members of the press that actually liked that game for all of its flaws. And I spent an enormous amount of time on both of those games. So it's really interesting to see, Techland kind of where they're going, how they evolve and kind of grow with each iteration of the games that they do, and how much of Dead Island was actually retained for Dying Light. I mean, there's a lot there. There's so much there where I'm like, all right, guys, you know, didn't come up with anything new, did you? You know, so it makes you kind of wonder what the actual Dead Island 2 is going to be like, because, you know, it's in new development hands, and
we've seen it,
and has a new engine. I've seen it, but it's been only like, it was a very limited.
It was
demo.
alpha.
It was not enough to really gauge where they're going with.
But it was more
things.
cartoony, right? Wasn't the cartoony?
It does
style?
look a little bit more cartoony. The light is a little bit less realistic than it is for I believe Chrome Engine 5 was what Dead Island was done with. Yeah. But the light rendering in Dead Island and Techland games in general is part of the appeal for me, because it just feels so natural. It feels so real. You know, you notice Dying Light had a lot of the same kind of signature Techland level design, in that you've got like this tropical setting, you've got a lot of this slum-like kind of features, very tight, narrow paths with lots of stairs and very rocky, and, you know, the elevation levels. And so, you know, a lot of that was retained, but I think it was so interesting what they did. Not only I feel like the parkour aspect was just this really natural progression from the idea of, we have too many games about zombies that are directly confrontational. And so parkour seemed like a natural kind of progression of, you know, okay, so if you're doing avoidance, what comes next?
Yeah.
You know, and then the day and light cycle, how the day and night cycle and
dusk, actually a little dusk.
How they incorporated that's what made this a little different. That's what made it interesting to me. I mean, that's where I'm finding the enjoyment of things.
Yeah, and it felt more like a world, you know, like a little world that was happening. That was the day night cycle made a difference. Obviously, the extremes that they changed when it became nighttime. You know, it was almost like you're playing two different games at that point. I mean, honestly, I wish that the whole game could have been what it was like at night, because then you're doing something new and different. We have so many zombie games, and it was like, this is different. This is new. And it was really cool. I mean, now we're just basically talking about Dying Light for a minute, but I can a lot because I really do enjoy it. And I think that my point is that I think they did a really good job of giving you something for free and then charging you for another pack, because it's not like, it doesn't even feel like I'm trying to make a lot of money off you. I don't care what their marketing decision was. But as a consumer, as a player, I finish the game, and when I'm done with the game, if you give me something for free right away, instead of charging me something for free, something to play more, words don't make sense out of my mouth, then I'm more likely to buy something later.
Well, a good dealer always gives the first hit for free.
Yeah, but what's weird is it wasn't the first. But the first hit wasn't. The first hit was $60.
Well, granted,
and then it's like a delayed free hit.
But I think if they give you these like new character classes, like at least for me, I don't replay games. Yeah. So like if they're like, here's these new character classes, personally, I'd just kind of be like bummed. I'd be like, oh, I wish I could have been an assassin the whole game. But then they're like, here's DLC. And I'm like, okay, I can play as a new class.
And there's new stuff to do.
And new stuff.
Okay.
Like, that's how I kind of look at it. See, with them
bringing the classes into it, I feel like that's them retaining some element of what Dead Island was. Because there was the 4 classes for every game.
It was not just the character classes, to be clear, though. There was other things in it.
Granted. But it's just really interesting to see also, you know, between the two different series, you can tell what Techland values and what they want to retain and what they think is, you know, what they think are quality design aspects.
Well, it's interesting, and I at least applaud for people for trying different things when it comes to DLC, right? And not trying to just squeeze the same amount of things. All right, we're going to take a quick break because we want more chips and we need to get another drink. And
some of us need to pee.
And some of us need to pee. We'll be right back with some news. Hey, we're back on the podcast. We were just talking off the podcast.
We were talking off the podcast. It was hot.
It was hot. Hot off the podcast. Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt is a damn good, weird show. I just got to say that. It's so unusual because you don't... Here's my thing. 2-second review. No, 30-second review. The writing is so weird that it's a nonstop joke. But the jokes aren't jokes; they're weird jokes.
I love weird jokes, though.
They're always awesome. Weird jokes.
And the thing is about Ellie Kemper, I mean, she is so hilarious. And actually, I've been rewatching The Office lately, And because, I just moved into a new condo and I needed something mindless kind of droning on in the background while I was unpacking and stuff. And I really loved her in that show as Erin, because I feel like we're entering this era of comedy where we're no longer even asking the question if women are funny anymore. And part of the reason why that is because we're breaking these boundaries in the sense that comedy is about us being at our worst, and we have never socially allowed women to kind of be in that position without like crucifying them for it. So you see Erin in this role in The Office, and she's just this tremendously beautiful, slender, bird-like woman, but she's so bizarre and she's so silly, and you're just like, you are weird, and usually in shows and media and that sort of thing, we don't allow the beautiful woman to be funny. We just don't let her. And so I really love her in that role in The Office. And I know she's going to excel in comedy in general. Even when she was still doing online stuff, you could just tell that she just had this really natural flair for it. And, the more we kind of open our mind about who's capable of that stuff, the more we get gems like this show. And this actress, she's wonderful.
Well, what's fun is that it feels like, I don't want to say the chains are off, but when I saw her on this compared to like The Office, yeah, she's interesting and weird in The Office, but because of the writing, which by the way, Tina Fey worked writing on the show and also created the show, helped co-create the show.
Right.
The writing and everything is just so fun and smart that it actually makes her character pop even more. As an actress, she gets to really, and a comedian, just go really over the top with it.
That's the benefit of finding that perfect team, and someone's going to give you the best material that you really deserve. Like someone's giving her that chance and like just opening that up for her.
And everybody in it though has all the characters in it have their own. We generally don't talk about non-video game stuff, but this is just weird, and I want everybody to know about it.
Yeah, I think one of the actors in there, he played. He was actually in 30 Rock as a kind of a bit role, in the Queen of Jordan episodes. I can't remember what his name was, but he was. Tracy Morgan's wife's stylist.
Oh, okay.
And he was just so stinking funny. It's just really great to see, these actors have been getting these little bit roles in comedy from here to here and there, and then just to see them keep on rising. Like Hannibal Buress, for instance,
so
seeing him do these little things and then finally get his own thing, and it's just like...
He's an amazing stand-up, too.
I mean, if we're getting to the point where finally these little character actors are getting the recognition they deserve, I mean, look at Mindy Kaling. I mean, she got her own show. And it's just like, this is very promising.
I like it a lot. It's weird. I don't understand it, and I love it.
But that's what makes it great, right?
Yeah. Like literally, that's a like rarity for me to turn on a show and be like, "What's going on? Wait, what's going? This is hilarious. What's going on?"
So, I may have never seen this show. And may not know what you guys are talking about.
No, that's fine. It just came out.
That's just new. It literally just came out.
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
I haven't watched it yet. All I really knew is that it was produced by Tina Fey, and Ellie Kemper is just delightful. I love her.
She's amazing. Yeah. Go watch it. It's on Netflix.
All right. I just caught up on Game of Thrones, so I have a free show slot.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm scheduling things. So on my schedule next, I'm going to finish up my rewatch of The Office. Then I'm going to do Broad City. And then I'm going to do this new show with Ellie Kemper.
And you should all throw in House of Cards because it's really great. Let's get into the game news. There's a thing that happened, or it's happening, in progress. PlayStation View. You guys know about this thing? We talked about it on the podcast a long time ago.
I saw literally one headline and I was like, what? And it was coming to select states. I was like, what?
Internet television via the PlayStation.
Like my Netflix app on my PlayStation that I already have.
Right, but that's Netflix. That's
but live?
Yeah, well, no, certain stations. So channels of CBS, NBC, Fox, Comedy Central, and Discovery.
Okay, well.
On your PlayStation.
See, I'm a little conflicted about this. On one hand, I have cable. I don't need that. On the other hand, I think, the new efforts to find different distribution for different channels and stuff through the internet is kind of a good thing. Like now, HBO is going streaming now. Mm-hmm. That's excellent. I'm just changing my cable plan now because I just moved into my new condo, and they're Comcast is giving me the runaround because they've just been so awful lately. Oh, and
for the record, I love Comcast. Hey guys, how you doing? You're giving me great internet speed.
Yeah, they told us literally, we can't. I'm literally not allowed to downgrade your service. You're just gonna have to cancel the whole thing and start this whole new thing up. And I don't know, giving people the freedom to select, who they want entertainment from instead of having to buy these packages. I mean, I think that's the right way to go.
Yeah, all that stuff is good.
Internet streaming, all that stuff is good. So on one hand, I'm like, well, I already have cable. On the other, it's like, oh no, for people to be able to, customize what entertainment they want, from TV. I think that is ultimately what's better for the consumer.
And I don't have cable.
Yeah.
Like, all I have is, like, the free TV where you get, like, 5 channels and Netflix.
So this is something that might be interesting to you. They're trying it out in, like you said, different cities to start. So New York City, Chicago, Philadelphia. If you're in one of those cities, you get to try it out first, I guess.
Oh, no Seattle?
No Seattle's on that?
Seattle's really awesome.
I don't
awesome. Think they, like, know that.
Yeah, we should call them up.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, after the podcast.
Hey, so Seattle's really awesome.
How dare you ignore us?
We're like 5 beers in. Listen, Seattle, you shut up. It doesn't rain that much. Anyways, shut up. I mean, we like you. Bring your service here. PlayStation View, interesting. Yeah, more options are cool, and we don't know a monthly subscription price, but it's going to be something. So we'll look more into that later. We already did the Dying Light story. So
I kind of feel like PlayStation keeps launching things that I don't care about, and then I never hear about them again. So they, like, with the PlayStation Now, like, that happened, but I don't ever hear people talking about it or being like, playing this with my PlayStation Now. Like, that, like, doesn't happen. Is this gonna, like, fade into the background just like that did?
I don't know. At the same time, these services are obviously not aimed at their core audience of gamers. This is them trying to expand their services to be home entertainment systems. They've been, like, pressing for so long. Like, Microsoft and Sony both are just, like, trying to press this whole, everything is integrated and everything's connected.
My Xbox One can control my house.
Right. And so I think it's really more about that than it is about,
And also backwards compatibility. Like, so PlayStation 4 wasn't, right? So they were like, well, here's some other kind of thing that you can play old games on. And you know what? Again, I'm the same thing. I poo-pooed the whole idea of PlayStation Now. And then I found myself over the weekend using it for a couple of different games. One, which I don't know if you've seen the new episode of the show, Video Game Break, the show. No, you haven't? Kinsey's a fan of her own things. No, but I mentioned Magus, which is a game that's on PlayStation Now, which is basically Dragon Age Inquisition, like back in the day, an old PS3 game that I never played.
Which game?
It's called Magus, Magus. Yeah, I didn't know it either. I did a whole thing on the show. You'll see it sometime when you see the show. But it's kind of an RPG with a shooter element, so you shoot magic out of your hands. And it's got a really fun dynamic. It's terrible, like, dialogue and weird or whatever. But in general, the gameplay is fun. My point is that was a PlayStation Now thing that I used. I did the 7-day fucking, rental.
Yeah.
And then I did a video on it. And it was worth it. So
I don't think my internet's good enough to stream a game. It can barely fucking stream Netflix.
That might be it, too. Yeah, you got to have good internet. Again, I love Comcast. So Comcast, want to give me a deal? You're great.
I ditched them for my internet and got what the manager of my building just calls condo internet. But I'm like, thank you.
Brand X.
That's very specific. But 100 megabytes per second.
Oh my god!
Upload and download speed.
That's where I'm at.
It's fucking amazing.
That's where I'm at. Yeah.
So, hell yeah!
My upload speed with my current internet provider, who shall remain nameless, who I've probably said already on the show before, my upload speed is in the KBs.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
They can't even tell me it in megabits. Like, not at all.
Oh, geez.
I'm like, thanks, guys.
So, next story, let's go to.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
We feel for you.
We feel bad for you. It's a sad story.
Do you need to come over to my house and use the internet?
Do you need to borrow some internet, Kinsey?
Like, you take a shower while you're over there.
Yeah.
Whatever else you need.
After the podcast, you just stay for a while. Like, I'm just going to download a couple of things. If that's cool. I've been trying to get this for like a week. That'd be fun. We could do like internet parties.
Yeah.
Hey guys, come over to Carl's place. He's got like 100 megabytes.
Yeah. Like trying to download like a TV show or like a movie.
Oh yeah.
It's like seconds for me.
It's like days.
Oh. I literally beef up. Here's not to be like, this is very like a rich person bragging about being rich, although I'm not rich.
Yeah,
I'm internet rich.
We're in your apartment. We can see.
Yeah. Just kidding. So one little fun thing about being internet rich is I'm about to cook dinner. Like when you guys leave, I'll start the boiling of the water, and then because I'm making quinoa, and
it does sound like a rich person thing.
I know. I'm making some quinoa with some quinoa. I don't know the rich.
I'm going to go home and have some chili mac.
Caviar. No. My point is this. I'll start up dinner, and I'll fucking say, I missed The Walking Dead, and download it, or download whatever. and it'll be done
Right.
like while I'm cooking.
Right.
While I'm cooking.
I know, but here's the thing. On the bright side of things, well, no, I don't know. I want to say bright, but the Pirate Bay got raided, and I'm not going to go download shit there right now because the feds are watching it. So there's not a lot I really can do with all of that upload download
Well,
speed.
So I should come use it up.
Of course.
or-
Bring your rig over.
Or you can come to Carlos's house where we do things legally and it's all good.
Oh man, you guys have some very good offers here.
Well, nice. Or like now,
She's more my friend than yours.
I know. Why doesn't she use my internet? There's a large discussion about torrenting, but we won't get into it because I will go on for days. But torrenting is legal, so I got to say. Let's go into another thing. PS4 firmware update. I guess the features were leaked. One of the features.
Oh no!
Oh no!
No! Oh, I need to know right now! Oh no!
And-
Let me rush and find that information.
I do want to. Now I want to know.
Oh, it was leaked, like, what, a couple of days in advance, and I need to know right now.
For a PS4 update, just an OS update or whatever.
Hold on, I can't laugh
Like it
or I
can't.
cough, so
It can't be that exciting, can it?
you guys got to stop with that. I couldn't deal with her voice just then. Well, one of the things is going to do suspending games, which I guess the Vita's had forever, right? You can just suspend a game, and that's one of the things you can do now on your PS4 instead of like rest mode, which shuts down the game, and you're still on the internet, but it's charging your controller. This would be like it would do that, but then your game would still be in suspend mode.
Well, that's nice.
That'd be a nice thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, hold on, that's a great punchline. Your whole thing, like, who the fuck cares? I don't know. And it's
No, wait a minute. Just
You didn't
because
say who the fuck is.
Just because I think that feature is nice doesn't mean I think I need to know about it like
No, I
7
know.
hours before the update rolls out.
No,
like, I need to know now.
I'm just saying that it was funny, kind of bookend, because it was like this explosive thing, and all of a sudden you're like, "Well, that's nice." That's a nice feature, actually. I do like.
It is a nice feature. I
It
don't,
is nice.
I don't think it's very important that I knew X amount of time in advance, but
Well,
that
it's kind of
is
like the DS. I would just close my DS like all the time.
I do that. Yes.
But I'm also like super irresponsible. I'll close my DS and then like I won't open it in an appropriate amount of time, and then it dies anyways. So it doesn't matter. But
Hey guys, just
don't
so you
do
know,
that with Majora's Mask. You will be really upset.
that's why I'm playing it on the 64.
Yeah.
I'm closing that 64.
just so you know, there's also an add to quick menu thing, which seems pretty fucking sweet.
Add to quick menu?
Yeah, listen to this.
What's a quick menu?
Well, I'll say the
It's the
sentence.
menu access before. No, go ahead.
Adds a link to the accessibility menu on the quick page in the quick menu page, brought up when a user holds down the PlayStation button.
Oh, that menu.
Yeah.
I don't have a PS4 yet.
Oh, well then.
Oh,
we should go to the next story.
I
then.
just haven't found anything worth it yet. And then Uncharted 4 just got delayed.
Yeah.
So
well,
just
you
like,
you have an Xbox One, right?
I do have an Xbox One. I was so mad about buying that thing. Did you hear what happened with that? Like, so I don't know. A lot of your listeners probably don't know that I'm the managing editor of Game Ranks over there. You know, my editor in chief, Ian Miles Cheong. So the Xbox One came out, and we were signing reviews to people. And somehow it got lost in the. I told him that hey, I got a review copy of Dead Rising 3. I'm going to go buy an Xbox One. We're going to do this. And he was like, all right, cool, whatever. So I go.
Funny voice for that guy.
I know, he sounds exactly like that.
Okay.
And so I go to buy the Xbox One, and the only package I can find is one with like 3 games. One of them, Dead Rising 3, which I'd already secured. I'd already secured a review copy of. And then I get home with it. I had to buy it in my hometown, which is 3 hours outside of Seattle, because that's the only place I can find consoles when they're really high in demand, because like nobody in that cow town cares about technology. And I get home, and he's like, "Oh, I already assigned that to Phil." And I'm like,
You're like,
"Oh my
"Oh,
god,
no,
are
you
you
didn't."
fucking kidding me?" Like,
Yeah.
I would have not bought my Xbox One for like a couple more months. There's nothing I want to play. I thought I had to review this. I just spent literally $800
Right.
for this fucking shit. Thanks a lot. Oh man, I almost quit over that shit. I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, that's an $800 mistake. And so, now I have it hooked up to my cable box, and I'm playing Dance Central Spotlight, which is a big thing for me because I keep in, I've written about this before. You know, I have a disability, and I've used Dance Central over the years to kind of rehabilitate my body, and it's my main form of exercise. So Spotlight came around, and so I was like, okay, this isn't the biggest waste, but I'm still like really resentful. So I have 2 copies of Dead Rising 3 on Xbox One. And then they gave me a review version for PC, and then I played it on PC. So I have
That's
two.
a lot of Dead Rising.
Especially for a game I just fucking hate as much as I hate Dead Rising 3. Like, holy fucking shit! Like,
let's see, what game can you not like a lot, and how many copies can we give you?
Yeah, right. Ugh.
I got a lot of copies of Superman on the 64. I'll be sure to forward them all to your address.
Oh,
Nice.
I'll make a little fort with them, and my cat can chill in it like a little console castle.
I know. I thought that was where you're going with that story. You're going to be like, so if you want a copy of Dead Rising 3...
God, if anyone just
tweet at
fucking
me.
get a hold of me on Twitter, like help me get rid of these things taking space on my shelves.
These, yeah. Yeah, what's funny, when I was going to buy my Xbox One, for a quick tangent about consoles, you know, which I haven't bought yet. I was going to buy one. You know, the same argument could be said for both systems, because I was playing Dragon Age Inquisition on my PS4. So I went to go find, and I was playing, you know, Madden and a couple other games that were for both systems. So I go to the Xbox One, go to my like local Fred Meyer, and look at all the games, and all the games I'm already playing.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything exclusive.
Yeah.
So I go, well, there's no fucking reason for me to have this at all. I said, the only reason was Project Spark, which I actually do want to make a video game in. And so that might end up still being my system seller. I mean, Ori and the Blind Forest, I really want to play. You can play that on Steam already.
Oh, yeah.
But I do like playing things on a controller. So
You know, what's really sad is all the games that I was really looking forward to for the next generation that were essentially system sellers for me have all turned out to just no one gives a I mean, they were just not nearly as good as they were hyped to be. Which, okay, every game, okay, right. I should be used to this by now. I've been writing about games for so many years now. But I was just like, systematically, every single game turned out to be this massive disappointment. It was just like, Watch Dogs. Fuck it. I was so pumped about Watch Dogs or Infamous.
A lot of funny videos, though, came out of Watch Dogs. I made a ton of videos on that game.
Well, at least
so
some good came out of it. You know, Infamous Second Son, that's not necessarily a bad game, but just not as good as, you know, it was supposed to be. It's not good enough to justify me buying an entire console for it. You know,
that was one of the only games that I'll say, because I'm Native American, which I mentioned on the podcast before, and there's not many Native Americans in video games. I was like, okay, he's a smart ass douche at times, but at least he's a Native American.
But he's empowered,
and
he's you know, he's the winner in all of this. He's the leader. He's the main, the center of attention. Yeah, so that's awesome. That's great.
But I agree with you on the fact that there isn't anything that, like, okay, bam, this is the fucking system seller.
Yeah, and then the thing is am I getting to a point where it's just like, as a critic, I'm judging things on this different scale. I'm out of touch with the regular consumer. You know, maybe these games are better than I really thought. You know, maybe I'm just hitting that wall in my career. And then other times I'm just like, no, those were just shitty, though.
Yeah.
I keep on getting disappointed. Like, Evolve was the thing I was really looking at. I let myself look forward to Evolve. And now it's like, their numbers are a quarter of what they were after only like a month.
Yeah.
I was like, what happened there?
Anybody,
you know?
Titanfall, anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Destiny too. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, Destiny might have the numbers there, but at the end of the day, like, look at the complaints there, and it's like, everything is. I don't know. Maybe everything's disappointing everybody. I don't know. Like,
well, I don't think it's the game critic thing, because I was in game journalism for a long time, and I thought. A funny side story is I used to work at Dunkin' Donuts real quick, like, long time ago, and I was like,
when we still had Dunkin' Donuts out here. Yeah. We don't anymore.
Well, I did it back in the East Coast, but yeah.
Oh, see, there you go.
There was none here. But I was like, oh, well, I get sick of donuts. No, I didn't. No, I did not get sick of donuts. Donuts are great and amazing.
Yeah.
But certain things, so like video games, it's the same way for me. Like, yeah, I covered a shit ton of stuff, but I have that love and fire burning in it for that art form and the creative way that it's told to me, and I get to experience it. But that being said, it comes back to my earlier point today was there's a certain thing, because I've played so many games, not even just reporting on them, but because I've experienced so many, this is kind of what I want out of a game. It's like, my tastes. Like people say your tastes change when you get older and you don't like mayonnaise all of a sudden or something.
That will never happen.
Well, some things.
I was like, I could go for some mayonnaise right now.
After the podcast, we'll eat mayonnaise and use the internet. But before then...
This is shaping up to be a really awesome party.
I know. This is an awesome ending of the podcast. We just have jars of mayonnaise. This internet's fast. So, yeah, I just feel like my taste is different.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know, and I think that there's just some shitty games. You know?
Yeah, I part of what I'm looking at. So my friend Anthony Carboni, who's kind
Anthony,
of Anthony's so
Anthony.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So he's kind of moved on along with Tara. You know, they're doing stuff for the Weather Channel now, and he wrote a blog the other day on Tumblr that was really thought provoking for me and kind of explains so much of where I'm at right now. And he was giving the analogy of if you were a factory worker and you were making granola bars every day and you've been working there for years and years and years making only this one type of granola bar, and then one day you're on the assembly line and suddenly like someone like had dropped a jalapeno into the oat vats and you get like this, instead of just this honey oat granola bar, suddenly you have a jalapeno honey oat granola bar. And because you've just been sitting there in front of all of these stale ass same vanilla granola bars your entire life, even if the jalapeno one isn't that great, you're just like, holy shit, this is new. And then you take it to your supervisor and you're like, but it's jalapeno though. And he's like, what are you talking about though? Like, look at these granola bars. They're perfect for public consumption. Everyone likes them. You know, we've been doing the research for years. This is exactly the perfect granola bar. And you're like, but the jalapeno one though. Like,
yeah.
You just get to a point where, as a critic, you start to value things just because it tried something new and different, even if it doesn't actually work, just because you want to see the innovation, because you've seen all of the perfect games that are just meant for the mindless consumption every day.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so you start to become out of touch with the regular consumer because your priorities are different. What you value is different.
Well,
and that changes.
And that can be the same said for the same for a film critic.
Oh,
right?
definitely.
Like, you know, that person sees a million movies and they're like, well, what's trying something different? What's...
Right.
You know,
I mean, like, for instance, the first time I watched About Schmidt, I was probably like 19, and I thought that was the shittiest. I was so mad at that movie because nothing happened and it was so stupid. And now I'm older now and I could watch a movie like Lost in Translation and it's like, this doesn't have to fit into my preconceived standards of, you know, the arc of how this narrative is supposed to flow. It can still just be this beautiful thing. I just have to find a new frame in which to appreciate it. Yeah. And so games can be like that too, you know. And so that's one thing I'm learning, is that there's always this push and pull between these two different audiences. You know? Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know what I think.
I was like, what do you think?
I know. I think...
You don't think.
I think something... Yeah. I was going to say that kind of along those lines when we're talking about, you know, experiencing a lot of different games and kind of, you know, curating your taste of what you like and stuff. One of the reasons I actually started Video Game Break in general, the website and this podcast, which I don't know if I've ever said, is that, you know, I'm really, really... tired of the jadedness in game journalism, and you know, a lot of my friends are part of that, and we have differences of opinion on games or whatever, but I wanted to start something where we always will be excited about stuff. And yeah, we can be angry about some dumb update or this game that came out that's shit, and that's fine. But I think the way that we say it on this show, and all the guests we've had up to this day have been that same way. We're like, a sense, take it from the beginning as a sense of wonderment and interest, and then you can get, you know, like, oh, that is shitty. But anyways, we're still having fun, and it's a fun topic.
Games are supposed to be fun.
Games are supposed to be fun.
I know. I think that thread of optimism kind of binds us all together, and that, you know, that initial hope and the benefit of doubt that goes into it. I will say it's hard being as critic as long as I have been, you know, not to get extremely jaded by the constant disappointment from the hype cycle. Because either you don't buy into it at all, or you do, and you get disappointed so often that you become the jaded person who doesn't ever believe anymore.
Yeah, you don't buy into it.
I mean, you have to go through so many ad cycles, and it's just like, gosh, every single time I've ever allowed myself to get hype about a game, I've been disappointed. No matter how much of a sure bet, the more of a sure bet it looked, the more I was being duped.
And how many times does something come up like an Earthbound I use for an example, and you're like, what the fuck is this thing? Oh, it's the greatest thing in the world.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I think that's...
And now Uncharted 4 is delayed, and I'm just like, you were my sure bet.
People need to calm down about his hair on his chest moving. That's all I gotta say.
Wait, it moved?
Yeah, it moves. His chest hair moves.
Well, finally, chest hair physics.
I've been waiting for that forever.
That's the equivalent of boob physics.
That's what I was just thinking.
You're gonna
I
have
was
your
like-
chest hair physics.
Is it though?
I was like,
Is
my
it?
chest
I don't
has
know.
moved for a long
I don't
time.
know. Although
so-
I've dated some really hairy guys. I don't think I ever saw their chest hair move. They're just too short.
Well, they're probably
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to go
wind
home
involved.
and I'm going to blow on
yeah, but
Tony's
even
chest.
with the wind, even with the, I mean, come on, you guys, Washington State, we're pretty windy here. I'm just saying.
True.
I'll experiment when I get home.
That sounds weird.
Oh,
so
I was going to say you don't have chest hair. I can see your chest right now. Tony, though, Tony's beard
By
probably
the way,
grows
if
into
you-
his chest hair.
I'm going to blow on it.
And
Okay,
you're gonna braid
but-
them together.
let's move on.
He's gonna regret the day he invited 2 women on the show.
No, 2 women have been on many times. You and Evie a bunch of times. Lauren, real quick,
I'm trouble though.
real follow up.
The combo.
Anthony is friends with my other friend Jeff, and they do We Have Concerns. You should go.
Oh
listen to that
yeah,
podcast.
yeah. I've heard that's really entertaining.
We have-
Anthony's a really funny guy.
Anthony's funny, so wehaveconcerns.com. Go to that podcast.
Yeah.
Download, support them. They're
I
fucking
do
amazing.
have concerns.
Well, then you should listen. We have 2 more.
Are
news
they like
stories.
the phone number that I call when I'm like, I can't, I don't know
No.
if I should dig?
No, they're not that. They're not that phone call.
We have 2 more news items.
At
to
least
get
2.
through.
So hold on, let's do this. So one is, and this is just interesting. Minecraft is going to be banned in Turkey potentially
What?
for being. Hold on.
Turkey doesn't believe in building things.
No. This is the punchline for being too violent.
What?
Huh?
Huh?
That's all like a Scooby.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah.
You know
so-
what? Until Turkey acknowledges the Armenian genocide, I'm just so not interested in anything they
That's
have to
true.
say
It
about
got
anything.
political.
That's a really good point, though.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
oh, Minecraft, that's too much.
Well, I guess I have no follow up for that because that is now the definitive statement on this story.
yeah, they're a bunch of turkeys. Oh,
All of our Turkey listeners just left the podcast. Listen, we still love you. We're just talking about the government that said this Minecraft thing. Anyways, I just thought I'd bring it up because it's weird. Violent.
weird.
It's Minecraft. This is like blocks.
I mean, there is some element of minor element of combat in
But
the
you
there's
game,
no
kill-
right?
blood.
But
you kill little things, they turn into other little blocks.
right.
Anyway, so that was weird. Nothing really to say
It's
there.
probably, you know what? That probably had more to do with the cultural thing than it did actual violence. More of a Western media kind of thing.
Yeah, but I don't know.
That could be.
But what? I'm trying to dig through the story to find the actual real answer. But it says in the end of it that says there's not a single country that has banned Minecraft, and so
Not even Australia.
Oh.
the down under. I can't do an Australian accent. We're leaving that story. There's nothing to it. Armenians, whatever Holly said. Sounds like Batman Arkham Knight will be surprisingly violent. I just brought this up because
Surprisingly, a video game?
well, it's going to be.
What? Turkey will probably ban it.
I know. So Batman and Minecraft,
Yeah.
not in Turkey. No, but here's the thing: it's going to be M-rated.
An M-rated
Oh,
Batman?
interesting.
So I thought that is
Yeah,
at least.
most, that's kind of like the R rating. Like most movies that are a little on the edge, they want to stick to the PG-13
Yeah.
out in the audience. Yeah.
Especially when they're like Marvel DC kind of superhero movies.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, because of the teenage audience.
Well, and when you deal with a game like this, it makes gajillions of dollars, and it's the franchise right now. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City both are T-rated.
Yeah.
So to move it over, I'm just wondering what their reasoning was.
They're going
You know,
dark.
there's other stuff. The thing is I remember, see, I don't play those games, but I do remember the advertising campaign for one of them was so heavily BDSM themed. Like, like Robin had a spreader bar, guys. Like straight
In
up.
which one?
One of the Batman games
Oh,
in the
really?
past couple of years. Yeah, and it was just
Should I just Google Batman spreader bar? No, I shouldn't.
actually, if you Google like Batman, Robin,
Actually, no, I will.
Like. If you Google like Batman Robin spreader bar, you might find me complaining about how Robin had a spreader bar. Like, that might be it. But it's not like they haven't had.
No, just spreader
Wild-
bars come up. But like ones for hammocks and stuff. Like it's like there's a canvas spreader bar. I don't know. I don't think this is what you're talking about. Anyways,
You don't know your Google foo apparently, but
I just typed Batman spreader bar. I got nothing.
no, it was Robin that had the spreader bar.
Oh, let me do that.
And you want to probably. Was it Arkham City? I don't know which one it was, but you
Was it
probably
the-
want to put in the game name too.
Was it the
Okay.
same one with the Harlequin ads?
No, I think it was right before that because it had, Catwoman, and there was kind of a bondage-themed kind of image of Catwoman at the time. And so, to me, I'm just like, well, it makes sense. You guys have already gone for, pushing the line there for a while.
Yeah.
Just at this point, it just makes sense to me.
I can't find it, but we will go. I'm going to read you, though.
I will send you a picture of Robin with a spreader bar.
Thanks. I'm going to read this. This is actually from the description. The rating summary. I don't know what that's from. I guess the ERSB rating summary.
ESRB?
No, ERSB is what I said.
Oh.
What did I say? ETQ? SB?
SB?
The SB award said. No, this is a rating summary, which I guess is from the ERSB. Anyways, it says this. And
Isn't the ESRB?
it says, here's what Arkham Knight's ERSB. I think you're right, though. I think they're wrong.
ESRB sounds way more right.
It does.
Whatever.
We could use Google and find out, but we're not going to. Okay, here's the summary. Just bear with me for a minute, because this is really ridiculous.
I'm ready.
So this is why it's M. This is an action-adventure game in which players primarily assume the role of Batman as he battles several villains, spreading chaos across Gotham City. Boring. Players engage in... Oh, he's showing the picture of it. Oh,
I found Spreader Bar Robin.
Oh, there he is.
I thought he just has a pole that he's fighting with.
No. They also showed him with it behind his back and around his butt. The imagery was specifically with the BDSM tone.
Oh.
The rest of the materials was clearly meant to indicate BDSM.
We'll put a
Doesn't
link
he look
to that
hot?
picture.
I like where this is going.
He looks okay. So, players engage in melee-style combat, blah, blah, blah. Enemies cry out in pain when struck, every game. And some takedowns are highlighted by brief slow-motion effects and loud impact sounds. Oh, no.
Oh, my gosh.
Hold on, it gets worse, guys. Some sequences allow players to use tank-like vehicles with machine gun turrets and rockets to shoot enemies. What? A vehicle's wheels are also used to torture an enemy in one sequence. Cutscenes depict characters getting shot, shooting people, while restrained or unarmed. Unarmed people? Grand Theft Auto. Large bloodstains, pools of blood appear in crime scenes and in the aftermath of violent acts. Here's where it gets real bad. And one room depicts a person torturing a character on a bloody operating table. Silent Hill.
But those are all M-rated games.
I know. Well, is Silent Hill M-rated?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, during the course of the game, players can shoot unarmed characters and a hostage. Neon signs in a red light district read "Live Nude Girls" and "XXX." The words "bitch" and "ass" appear in the dialogue.
Man,
That doesn't sound like M.
Batman is a bitch. And an ass.
He has a bitch ass.
That's a takeaway. That's a takeaway you guys got. What were the two last words you said? Bitch and yeah, he is a bitch ass.
You know what? We've
drinking.
sunk pretty far into these beers at this point.
We're pretty much done.
Kinsey?
Yeah, and it's delicious.
So that's a thing. It's just weird that they made an M game. I don't know. That didn't sound like too Emmy.
That is weird.
Honestly, maybe it's more appropriate. Guys, yeah? Maybe?
Do you think they'll sell less copies though?
I
don't
think
give
they
a
will.
fuck.
Well, I used to work in games retail, and an M rating never stopped a kid from playing that game.
It never stops the parents. And
Exactly.
Alex worked at GameStop for a number of years, especially while I was at DigiPen. So he was at one of the highest grossing GameStops in the country. And the amount of parents that come in and just do not give a fuck.
Yeah.
So it's not going to stop anybody that needs to be stopped from playing this game.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that's a more appropriate rating considering the content. I mean,
Yeah.
That's probably true. And
Yeah.
I remember even when parents did buy Grand Theft Auto for their kids, I would always reiterate, because sometimes I think some of these parents might just be buying what their kid tells them to, but they don't actually know the context.
Right.
And I would be like, this is an M-rated game, right? No one, I think only maybe once or twice someone was looking back at their kid,
Yeah.
Hey. But 95% of the time, it didn't matter what I said.
Yeah, no, those are the type of parents that are just looking for a virtual babysitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would want, granted, I don't want kids and whatever, but I don't think I'd want my, 10-year-old playing Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, well, especially with like 5 and stuff where you have to torture somebody and you can't skip that scene. Remember, like
Yeah,
that's
plus
a thing.
the opening sequences of the game alone is, I mean, you're terrorizing these innocent people.
Yeah.
You know,
And there's a section with when you're introduced to Trevor, and he literally kills a man by bashing his face into the side of a curb. That's how you're introduced to a character.
Yeah.
You know, and later on he's lovable and funny because he's Trevor. But he starts
Right.
by literally smashing a human skull,
right?
teeth first, into a curb.
I mean, they
By
call
me
it,
saying that, see, hold on real quick. You recoiled, and what's funny is that we both played that game, but it's almost like you have to reiterate or like tell yourself, oh wait, that's actually what happened. You know, we become numb to like just accepting
See,
that's a
but
thing.
at the same time, they've prompted us to gloss over it by making this character that, like, that's your introduction to him, and then the rest of the game, he's contextualized as someone that you're supposed to just, wow, good, you know, roly-poly, good old Trevor, just fucking smashing people's faces into the curb. Like, they encourage you to kind of just look the other way. So yeah, we end up trivializing it and just kind of brushing it off and not really taking it that seriously. They kind of put us in that position.
I definitely played the least amount though with Trevor. You know, they show you how much you
Yeah.
spent time.
Yeah.
It was like Michael. Like I
Trevor was
mainly
my
spent Michael.
favorite.
You know, honestly, so I have it on the 360, and I only played like just the opening, beginning parts. Because what happened was I used to be a big Grand Theft Auto fan. Vice City and San Andreas were two of the first like actual violent video games I'd ever played. And
Vice City's the best, though.
Vice City's
Vice
great.
City's fucking awesome. And the
I
same
have
thing,
the soundtrack in my car.
No, the same thing that makes Vice City and San Andreas great, or what separates it from the rest of the games, in that it becomes such a thematic thing that it kind of negates a lot of the reality of the violence in it. Vice City was this campy,
That was
you know,
awesome.
just Miami Vice kind of thing, you know. But
Wait. Side note, because you're talking about music and because the soundtrack's amazing.
it is amazing. Vice City's soundtrack is fucking amazing.
Recently on Grand Theft Auto 5, I'm replaying it for a bunch of stuff I'm working on, and fucking Wham came on.
Oh,
And I was like,
yes.
I'm stopping the car. I'm not doing the next mission. I'm going to listen to the rest of this fucking Wham song.
I'm gonna dance.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that they've been bringing new radio stations. I love it when games do that. When you have
Yeah.
radio stations and they give you new ones. It's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
That's like the majority of the Fallout mods that I use are radio mods. But
you were saying.
but anyways, so, you know, I was one of the biggest Grand Theft Auto fans, but when Grand Theft Auto 4 came around, you know, for a couple of different reasons, didn't really appeal to me, so I skipped it. So now I'm trying to get into Grand Theft Auto 5, and it's like, oh, I've missed out on a lot in terms of those little changes that they make gradually over the course of series. So, you know, I found myself really struggling to get into it. I did find it very funny that, you know, the first time I fired it up with my boyfriend, Alex, because I have two. But Alex and I fired it up, and I was really sleepy, so I fell asleep, and like the opening sequence was taking him like hours, and he was just like, it's just like really hard though. I don't know. So we restarted the game a couple weeks later because I was like, all right, I was falling asleep or whatever, and the opening sequence took me like less than 15 minutes, and I'm looking over it, I'm like, this was. I don't even know you anymore.
even know you.
You fake gamer boy. Like, what the? That took you a long time. Who the hell are you? Like, I don't even know you.
That
Like,
happened with me and Tony with the intro to Far Cry 4.
oh.
He couldn't do it, so I took over, and I was like, "This is hard.
No,
what the hell?"
Well, I have to admit the intro to Far Cry 4 was among one of the only hard parts of the game because you're so unarmed and there's all those guards around. Like I remember that.
I'll do good
Yeah.
the rest of the game.
Yeah, like the rest of the game is way easier than
Really?
that opening sequence.
Oh.
In my opinion, yes.
I think it is. And also,
I
you
think
could
it
just
is.
not do that and wait for the guy to come back and beat it that way.
You could do that, yeah.
Which I did.
I did do that.
Yeah.
I'm actually on my third file, and it was because the second one was, you know, just sitting there waiting.
yeah. I thought it was interesting.
For
that,
Pac-Man.
you know, I love
Yeah.
that kind of concept that they built that in.
Which that scene kind of revolved around that whole thing with the crab rangoon. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
So for my second video game cookbook, if I decide to do a sequel to Holly Green's, you know, Guide to Video Game Grab,
Which we should talk about in a second.
we should.
Yeah.
I think I might do the crab rangoon.
You should.
for Far
Oh my
Cry
god,
4.
you should.
Wouldn't that be
Far Cry 4.
perfect? Like
That would be
so
good.
many of the recipes that I chose for Fry Scores, an unofficial guide to video game grab, were based on things that were just really iconic and just you very much associated them with the game. Crab Ragoon is one of those things that feels a little subversive, like that. Like it wasn't a huge part of the game, but that key scene,
It was enough.
but that key scene,
Yeah.
it really was.
Yeah.
So
And the way that he says it and delivers the line, you're like,
Yeah,
you
it's-
really stick with that.
it's
in your
iconic to
head.
the game in that sense because
Yeah.
of that scene.
Yeah.
And so
I
I
think
think
it
I might do
works.
that. It will work. I'm going to do it.
Well,
And I'll be there for when you need to test some crab
Nice.
rangoon.
Yeah,
Nice.
actually, so I just bought a condo, and the housewarming party that I'm going to do probably next week or so, I think I will have some sample foods from the cookbook. What I'm going to do is probably the health and mana potion cocktail recipes that I did, and then just like make big pictures of them and fill up a bunch of my cocktail glasses and just kind of have them out, and we can all, be drinking health and mana all night.
That
And
sounds fun.
I'll wear some chainmail.
Hell yeah.
This is why you invite Kinsey to parties.
we should say that you're lazy cosplaying right now in a Star Trek-y kind of thing.
Kinsey always does, and that's what makes her so great.
She do. By the way, we don't mention it all the time. We mention it most of the time, but you pretty much lazy cosplay to every podcast that we
Kinsey,
do.
no. Kinsey always wears nerd clothes, though. Every time we've gone out, we've gotten compliments. No, you've gotten compliments about whatever it is you're wearing. My favorite is your dress. That's I think it's Link to the Past. I
Yeah,
wanna
the
say.
map?
Yeah. So
I like the universe pants.
and she has.
I do have some of those.
You have the greatest leggings in the world. Like, you've got every great pair of leggings. So.
Hey, real quick, tell the audience about your cookbook then, because that's a good segue. Because we're done with news stories.
So Fry Scores, an unofficial guide to video game grub. I released that at the end of December last year. And that features 24 recipes of video game recipes, just iconic dishes and foods that you've seen in some of your favorite video games over time. And it's mostly for the novice cook, for the beginner. I try to give a lot of basic tips, for people who don't really know what they're doing. I think they're accessible everyday recipes. That it's obviously not a novelty cookbook at all. I mean, when you read the recipes, this is stuff that you'll want to eat on kind of a daily basis. And
Yeah, because a lot of times you see, like, I watch the YouTube videos of, like, here's, something in Skyrim or whatever. And, like, I guess I can make this, but I'm not really
but
going
who really wants to.
Yeah.
And that's so in the early stages of the cookbook, I was working at Destructed at the time, and we were kind of talking about doing a community cookbook based on video game dishes. And there were a couple of blogs doing that stuff at the time, but they were doing really obscure, impractical stuff like the sea salt ice cream from Kingdom Hearts. And it was like, well, that's cute, but who's going to really want to make that unless for the novelty of it?
Yeah,
I didn't really see how that would, So when I set out to do mine, it was like, this is stuff you want to eat every day. So the stuff that I have in there, I have French toast from The Sims 3, key lime pie. I did I did a strawberry lime pound cake from Fat Princess. I did the Cook's Fiend stew from Fallout New Vegas, which is a beef jalapeno potato beer.
Oh my God.
Stew. And it's so good, you guys. It's so good.
All
It's
these
so
things
good.
I want.
I think I just came.
So there's a really good.
That has to do with the box, right? Okay, I just make sure.
We'll go back to the box.
The box and the spreader bar and
Yeah, all those things.
kinds
I
of
know
stuff.
this has been a crazy night, guys.
Yeah. None of that happened, but okay. Yeah.
But I really feel like the 24 recipes really just cover kind of the course of basic culinary instruction. I mean, you can make a roast chicken. You can make. I do mushroom stew from Minecraft. I did the apple cabbage stew from Skyrim. Clam chowder from World of Warcraft, which was actually really fun because being a Seattle girl who loves clam chowder,
God,
I
I
was like,
love
all
clam
right,
chowder.
this is a chance to put my recipe out there, which was really exciting for me.
awesome.
Some stuff was a real challenge. I did Yato soup from Twilight Princess, and that was a pumpkin salmon goat cheese based concoction. That was very much a challenge for me, but it ended up so great. And
is this book on the digital format then?
yeah, so you can get it right now on Apple iBooks. Right now, I'm working on the Kindle edition. I have some reformatters that are going through that with me right now. We're going to launch a Kickstarter campaign soon to fund the reformatting because it's very, very expensive as it turns out. And so then once we get that done, then there will be the Kindle edition, which I expect will be a lot more successful than the iBooks version. Nobody uses iBooks, which doesn't surprise
Yeah.
me. Yeah, nobody uses iBooks.
I have a Kindle Fire.
Kindle Fires are great.
I really want to buy your
Kindle-
your cookbook.
Yeah.
Kindle edition is coming along. It's on its way. So we're working on that. We're working on a possible print edition, which would be a little bit further into the future. But right now I'm working with a European games merchandiser who is going to be bringing the PDF version to their site And then we're talking about doing some food trucks for some major conventions and then doing our print version. And so there's a lot of stuff kind of on the horizon for that. The Kickstarter campaign itself is going to have some room for possible sequels to the book. So we're thinking about doing a second and possibly a third. One option we've actually explored a little bit or talked about a little bit is, I kind of was hoping Kinsey would do kind of a homebrew project with me, as a supplement.
That would be amazing.
You don't have to ask her twice for that.
Right? Like, let's make some Battle Brew from New Vegas,
Deal.
Like, yes. So, so those are the ideas we're throwing around. Like, right now I'm also talking to Mitch over at the Drunken Moogle.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love the Drunken Moogle.
So they've always wanted to do a book version, and so I kind of approached them like, "Hey, do you want to work with me?" Mitch is a little slow to answer emails, but so far things are coming along, and so I expect that's something we'll also see in the horizon, and I'm really excited about that. Part of the fun of this project has been, not just that I love cooking and not just that I love being creative, but that I really love food photography and I love bringing together a shoot. And so there's not a single part of this process that I don't absolutely love.
I was just going to ask you that about the images. There's a lot
those are
of
all
images
mine.
then?
Those are all mine.
Cool.
And they're fucking gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous.
You're like, to brush my shoulders off for a minute.
They are
pretty nice.
No, they are though. I've been offered some freelance food photography work in the aftermath of it, and it was like, wow, these are skills that I developed for the book. Over the past 3 years.
Well, because you love it, you love what you're doing. And
yes, exactly. And it's like when you care that much, I feel like with almost all art and entertainment, it's one of those things where if you observe and mimic, after a while, you kind of start to find your own way. And and certainly that's what I did. And I eventually found my own skills.
Yeah, I literally went down to San Francisco to do online video shit and was, watching the 1UP show, watching all the things that I appreciated and loved, and then just started doing it. Like we talked about earlier, copying, right? You copy and then make it your own. You see what's working and what you love, not just what's working from a marketing standpoint. That sounds like it's marketing speak.
No, but at the same time, like even as a photographer, I mean, you look at photos that you enjoy, and you look at it and you say, "What makes this work?
Yeah.
What do I do?
And
what
speaks to me about it? Right. Like the same thing when I've been in bands that have made records and albums and stuff. Nirvana, like I listen to In Utero, I listen to Bleach, and that's going to inform my next song. Like it's just going to do that. Yeah. But it's again, I'm not taking something directly from them and the corporate.
Yeah, one thing that I did was I found a lot of Flickr photographers that I really admired, in the food photography realm. One in particular, this gal from Poland who just like, oh gosh, I wish I could be her. But Martha Stewart magazine was the other thing. I subscribed to all of her magazines on my iPad and was just looking all the time. And you look at a photo and it's like, what inspires me about this? And so over time, I was learning about proper lighting and positioning and framing and color, use of color, how to style a shoot. And it's just like something just mechanical kind of took over.
Yeah.
Like, this is what makes a good photo. And it was no longer about me standing in my own way, tripping myself up by hyping up the process too much. It was just like, this is what makes a good photo.
Yep.
Follow through and just do it. And, as inconsequential as it is in the scheme of things to be good at food photography, there's still this sense of accomplishment that I'm really enjoying.
I wouldn't say that at all. I would say it's really important. And I think, so everybody loves food. But like the idea that you can, frame it and give it this kind of light, it's cool. It's like an artistic expression of what we all love anyhow. So
yeah, there is an art to food presentation in and of itself. I mean, when you receive a dish at a fine restaurant and it's on your plate, it's been arranged in a very specific way to be pleasing, and so there is so much more to food than just what you're eating. So,
yeah,
I love food.
I know food's great.
Kinsey and I eat some good food together.
Oh.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of good food by myself, but it's great. No, but I did like that idea. I actually kind of, after a while, got into that when I would go to, I grew up really poor and whatever. And when I got any money and went to a fancy place, which I still call, Kinsey and I do this all the time, call things fancy. Anything like just above regular prices is fancy. But like when you go to a true on real fancy place and you're like, oh, there's small portions and it's all decorated and whatever. My old version of Carlos from New York be like, what the fuck is, I don't need this fucking extra
You're paying
shit.
for presentation.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, later on, again, almost like with the games, like maturing my take and look on it, it really does make a difference. Like, it's kind of fun.
The experience isn't just what you're putting in your mouth.
Yeah, it's the whole kind of moment. And I mean, also if the sauce is amazing, it helps because
of course,
there's a couple little
yeah.
dollops, and you're like, oh, that's not much sauce, and you're like, oh wait, it's fucking amazing sauce. There doesn't have to be a lot of it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think there's something to that. But so people can check the book out now, and
they can. The Kindle edition will be on its way soon,
and they can go to your Kickstarter is going to be when?
In the next couple of weeks. I'm waiting on Jake Baldino right now is doing my Kickstarter video for me, so I'm kind of waiting on him right now.
Way to go, Jake!
I know Jake is awesome. I love it. So he's the host of the Gamerings YouTube channel. And the guy is just so talented. I really feel he's the next Max Scoville. I really do.
Ooh,
yes,
that's a little positive for Max Scoville too.
It's a compliment to Max.
I know.
Yes, it is.
He just took over the Up at Noon, I think. Right? Is he going to take over?
I know he's over at IGN, but I'm not. I'm not on the Up and Up with the rest
Greg
of his.
Miller's show.
Yeah, which would make sense in light of recent news. But Jake's wonderful. So I'm waiting on him. Kind of trying to figure out my Kickstarter reward tiers right now, but that will be along, in the next couple of months, along with the reformatting and the Kindle and all of those things. And then we're looking at, like I said, the print version. The games merchandisers that I'm working with have also been talking about, using their platform to sell my PDF version, so that people who don't have readers will still be able to get their hands on the book.
Yeah, PDF is great because almost everything reads a PDF.
Exactly.
So
most phones even.
Phones are,
So,
they're like, download this extra thing so you can look at this PDF, and then it works.
I will encourage anyone that has an iPad. You should go to iBooks to go and buy it, because there's interactive features and videos and stuff that aren't going to be in any of the other editions. So personally, I think that'll be the best version of it. The Kindle version isn't going to be able to have videos and pop-ups, and there's a lot of cooking tips that I might have to omit for the PDF and Kindle version. So yeah, buy it on iBooks.
buy it now, and then if when it comes back out, when you get your Kickstarter going, come back on the podcast and we'll talk about more of it.
I guess I would love to do that.
I mean, we'll talk about food any day of the week.
Any day.
I'll bring over food. I'll make you guys the grilled cheese.
Listen,
oh my god, deal!
As long as it's next to our buckets of mayonnaise and our fast internet, then I'm on board.
Yeah.
We're going to end this podcast with one extra thing I wanted to mention. Tetrageddon was a big standout at GDC. I think it won an IGF award. I think the grand prize, I believe. Tetra, GEDDON.com. It's like a collection of weird indie games that it's just awesome.
I like weird indie games.
Yeah, you should check it out, everybody. Also, we're doing a live podcast that's already happened. You heard it. We've already recorded it. And the thing is, it already happened live, but it didn't go up yet when you're listening to this. So that's coming the end of this week, probably. You'll be able to hear that. And Kinsey was great.
I'm sure I was.
Yeah.
Kinsey, you're always great.
And I don't know if Holly was there or not. I can't remember.
I wasn't.
Foggy.
I'm sorry.
You were there. Yeah, she wasn't there. But it was a fun time.
Yeah.
Talking about the future. And by the way, we're going to do more of those live events, live podcasts. You should go to videogamebreak.net. It's our website. You can write for us if you want. Mm-hmm. Just hit join, and then you have an account, and you can just post things. Promote any of your own stuff. That's how we roll. Make your own YouTube videos, put them on our site. We love it. Our podcast is on iTunes and Stitcher, and at Video Game Break on Twitter. Now, Kinsey's on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter at Kinsilla, Kinscilla. I'm moderately active.
I stole your...
She's delightful.
Wait, she's delightful. That was a weird voice. I stole your thing. You normally say at Video Game Break.
I usually say you can also find me at Video Game Break.
But you can't really, though.
But you can also find me on YouTube on Metal Jesus Rocks, because I'm on there a decent amount. So, yeah, I'm places.
And
I get around.
And no, I think that's it. I was going to say something else. The drinks. Holly, where are you on the internet?
So you can find me at GameRanks, where I'm the managing editor. I write opinion for Polygon, and I'll probably actually have my next piece going out in the next month.
We like the Polygons.
They are good, aren't they?
Yeah. We like their thoughtful stories. We comb it a lot for.
Yeah, this will be my third piece for them.
Cool.
I wish I could turn them out faster, but honestly, it's very exhausting to be this opinionated. So I'm also on the Jumping the Shark podcast, which we do, 2 to 3 times a month. And let me think what else.
Twitter.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter and almost everywhere else under Winners Use Drugs. So that would actually, Twitter's probably the best place to keep up. That's where the majority of my presence is. So that would be the thing.
Another little reference: War on Drugs It's not. It just. It was a word association thing. It's an amazing band. Have you guys heard them? Oh my goodness!
What kind of music?
It's kind of like Tom Petty, Dire Straits. No, just Dire Straits, not Tom Petty. Dire Straits, but then newer and alt. Awesome.
All right.
You're gonna have to send us some links later.
Yeah. It's so good.
Alt-right.
Alt-right. Oh,
So yeah,
geez.
you can
That is definitely the end of the podcast.
You can find me as Winners Use Drugs at a variety of places, and Unwinnable, and
We'll put all
some other
the
publications.
links in the show notes for your book and for all those things.
Oh, so my
can find
book.
you.
So my book you can find on iBooks or iTunes rather. So you'll be able to get that, and then I'm trying to think of what else.
Yeah, and I remember the update came out. I was like, "Hey, you should. We have a new feature on the iBooks." I'm like, "The I what now?"
Yeah.
The I have never used it.
I might. Yeah, if I had an iPad, I'd use it now for the books.
You technically buy it at iTunes, but it's not available for phone devices. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry, guys.
that's okay. Also, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/videogamebreak. Go there, like it if you want. There's things.
Like us, we're there sometimes.
Okay, we're done. We're tired. We had too many drinks. We're gonna go now. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. You're awesome. You're cool.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.